This meeting is called to order. Mr. Clerk, please conduct a prayer and flag salute.
God of the universe, look thou with favor upon these here assembled, and bestow thy guidance upon the members of the governing body in their deliberations. This we ask in thy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Notice of this meeting stating date, place, and time has been disseminated as required under the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975. In the event of an emergency, the proper method of exiting the council chambers is through the 3 doors in the rear of the room. Occupants should proceed down the staircase, out the front door, and move away from the area of the front steps. Any member of the public wishing to speak during the public comment session at the end of the meeting, please sign in on the white sheets provided in the front of the room. Please turn off all cell phones or place them on vibrate. If you must take a call, please leave the council chambers to do that. So, Mr. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Ormond?
Here.
Javik?
Here.
Brown? Mohammed?
Here.
Cosby?
Present.
Roman?
Present.
Strano?
Here.
Blaine?
Here.
Medina?
Here.
Hickey?
Here.
Mrs. Yamakaitis?
Here. Approval of the minutes of the October 15, 2019 meeting.
Council President, I request for the approval of minutes from the October 15th meeting and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Cosby?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Abstain.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yamakaitis?
Yes. We'll now have the swearing in of the 8th Ward Councilman Garnett Blaine by the City Clerk. I was given the honor of being asked to hold the Bible for Councilman Blaine. So, Mr. Councilman Blaine, can you please come down to the floor?
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of 8th Ward Councilman according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
First of all, I want to say it's an honor and a privilege to represent the 8th Ward of Linden. I want to thank the Democratic Club for nominating me for this position, and everyone who helped worked in making sure that I've gotten to this point. I just want to assure everyone that in the meeting that I have attended, that there are capable bodies across this council, and you are in good hands. Even though sometimes it may seem chaotic, just know that the passion is there and most people do want the best for Linden, and I plan on bringing that integrity and some type of calmness so that we all can work cohesively together to move this city forward. Thank you.
Congratulations, Councilman. Next, we'll have a presentation from the Galloping Hill Cruisers. They're going to present a plaque to Mayor Armstead and the City Council. Please come up.
Yeah, in a minute. Mayor Armstead and the Linden City Council, the Galloping Hill Cruisers Car Club would like to thank all those involved in helping to make our 2019 Cruise for a Cause at Aviation Plaza another great success. With your help and the help of Mark Manuzza, Rebecca Tatoli, and the Linden City Council, we've experienced a very successful year. This success will allow us to make a sizable donation to our chosen recipient, the New Jersey Institute of Disabilities, the Lakeview School in Edison, New Jersey. Further, your presence at our cruise events demonstrates your support, and we deeply appreciate it. This season, we registered 1,025 vehicles, a new record for us. Aviation Plaza provides us with the space required to accommodate our cruiser guests, as well as the ever-increasing number of spectators. The participants like having the variety of restaurants to choose from, and we are very happy with the discounts offered by the restaurants. Again, we thank you for your support and your kindness, and your staff have extended to the Galloping Hill Cruisers. We look forward to working with you in the years to come. And it was with great appreciation, we'd like to present this plaque to you from the Galloping Hill Cruisers and the New Jersey Institute of Disabilities, the Lakeview School, for showing your support and generosity in making our 2019 Cruise for a Cause a huge success. Without you and the city, we could not do what it is we love doing and being able to give back. You supported us. We're going to the Lakeview School December 18th with a check for $24,000 and another check from Mark Manuzza from his car, truck, and bike show on November 3rd for $2,500. And we will still have other money coming in from one of our members who has a Christmas house where he gets donations. So we'll be giving over $30,000, and it's all because of you and the city of Linden. You're all wonderful.
We also invite the city council and the mayor to visit the school to see where all our money does go. That'll be December 19th at 12:30.
Once again, thank you, Mayor.
Let me just say something about the cruises. First of all, Smokey Robinson put it. I love it when we're cruising together. Okay. Let me tell you something. We should be giving you a plaque and an award. We really should for what you do. 2 years ago, they came to our town asking if they could have car shows here, and it's not just about the cars with them. You know, we all love cars, but for them, it's about giving back, and every dime they raise goes to help those who are less fortunate than we are. So that's why I say I love it when we're cruising together, because you guys do a fantastic job. Your heart's in the right place. Again, it's not just about the cars. It's about the cars and how you raise money to help people. And that should be at the front of all of our agendas, to make sure those of us who are more fortunate than others, and we all are, everybody in this room is more fortunate than someone else, and we all have the ability to give something back, and it just so happens that you guys give a lot back. So thank you for everything that you do, and we look forward to the weather breaking, or it's starting to get cold already. We look forward to the weather breaking so we can go out and look at some of those nice cars and raise some more money for those who are in need. God bless you all, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
one other thing that we left out is that they also raised money in honor of Joey Rodriguez and Officer Vigiano, who both perished in a car accident. One was a police officer here in Linden, and Joey Vigiano, and Joey Rodriguez was a friend to all of us. So we appreciate keeping their memories alive, and every year we will continue to dedicate and donate scholarships on their behalf. Okay.
Okay, we're going to move on to ordinances on hearing. Okay, we'll start with ordinance 6349. Mr. Clerk, can you please read the ordinance?
An ordinance to adopt a second amendment to the redevelopment plan entitled 1001 West Elizabeth Avenue Redevelopment Plan, Block 423, Lot 402, pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law, NJSA 48:12A-1 at sequence.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, ma'am.
Has any written communication been received?
No, ma'am.
Is there anyone that wishes to be heard on this ordinance? Okay.
I mean, talk to you.
Mr. Kazor? A member of the public has 3 minutes to speak on this.
And John Kaiser, 23 West Munsell Avenue. Okay, so when was this presented to the public? Was this the October Planning Board meeting?
You have any other questions on this?
No, we'll start with that. Anybody want to answer that?
Mr. Kazor?
What?
I'll run this meeting. Do you have any other questions?
I got some
On this?
comments. When was this presented to the public? Did Meridia present this to the public, is what I'm
Mr.
asking.
Antonelli?
My time is running out.
The Meridia, this is not Meridia's plan, this is the city's plan. Meridia will have to build to this plan. Okay, that's what it is, sir. It's
I
the
mean,
city-
Linden had a redevelopment plan.
Yeah, and this
Meridia
is an
scrapped
amendment.
it and gave their own plan. Meridia said,
Okay,
here's 10 pounds of crap we're going to fit in your 7-pound bag.
okay.
Okay? Man. So they don't have to present this to the public? I go to the planning board meetings. I see people get up and present their,
This was presented at the planning board.
which one?
Which meeting?
Yes.
Give me a
Just say
moment.
October. I missed October.
Give me a moment, I can tell, I would assume it was
Because it was on their agenda for June, it got pushed back, then it was on for July.
October 8th.
October 8, right.
Yep.
It was at the bottom of it, and then I went to the planning board office, and you know, the woman there, very nice, she said, dude, they're gonna pass this through. And like I said at the meeting before this, I don't have confidence that any of you even know what you're voting on tonight. This should actually just say an ordinance approving the application for Meridia to make millions of dollars at the expense of the Linden taxpayers. I really don't. What is it that you're voting on tonight? Ay, ay, ay. Look, Meridia is basically, you know, they're charging above market rents. They're not making a contribution to the school system, and I have no kids and I have no kids. And I'm worried about the people in town that do have. They're not contributing to future infrastructure development or beautification of the transit hub, which they're going to take full advantage of. And last but not least, the affordable housing component. Okay, you know, we're not attracting, like I said in the earlier meeting, the dinks, the dual income, no kids to these apartments. And listen, now we have this connection with Dover. Dover all of a sudden, Linden, Dover. They are having problems filling their apartments too from Meridia. So nobody wants to speak out on it. I will. I live in the shadow of them. They don't look very good. You know, we're supposed to take down eyesores. We're actually building eyesores. And again, I'm not against redevelopment, but this overdevelopment is too much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to be heard? Mr. Hansberg? We're on 6349.
All right. Hans, sorry. Hans Herberg, 51 Westover Road. Yeah, with number 49, ordinance adopt the Second Amendment to redevelopment, though, so. I missed October, I guess everything is through to, I mean, I know I was out of state for 2 months, and I came back, so just kind of want to reiterate, I mean, you know, what's going on with that one, you know, on the, like, how much money we're looking at, or finance, you know, on the approval for development, so kind of want more info on that one.
Mr. Northgrave?
I'm not sure I understand the question. This doesn't have to do with money, this just amends the redevelopment plan.
Redevelopment, all right.
It amends the zoning, essentially,
Zoning,
is what it does for that area.
I was away for a few months, so I just want to make sure, you know, I'm in the loop, you know, nothing's missing, so I just want to make sure. You know.
Council President, if I may?
Yes.
You know,
Mayor.
the particular project that we're talking about is on West Elizabeth Avenue.
Okay.
You know, as over 29 years, the land has been vacant, and we haven't collected not one dime on the property. So if we were collecting taxes on it, over 30 years, we'd get a $508,000. That's a total municipal share that we would receive. Under the pilot program that we have, over 30 years, we're going to get 30.9, close to $31 million total for the city. So to me, this is a no-brainer. You had a contaminated piece of land that we received $1 million for from the developer. The developer has agreed to take on all the responsibilities to mitigate the contamination on the project, and we're, at the end of the day, going to receive over $30 million over a 30-year period of time. To me, that sounds like a win-win versus doing nothing with the property.
Absolutely. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? Yes.
Ed Kaminsky, Maple Avenue. I'm all for redevelopment as well, to proper and correct redevelopment. I'm just having a hard time reconciling. I hear many on the dais over the months and years now at this point say how hot Linden is and people are dying to get in here, yet we keep coming back to one developer who at best has a questionable history already, and a recent one in Linden. Heck, since the last meeting, the building that's going up is crumbling. They couldn't even put on these fake bricks, and you know, I'm sure other people will speak to that. That building, there was issues with it already, okay? And just to put things in perspective, in the time that this building is going up, the Empire State Building and Yankee Stadium were built during that time period, in that same amount of time. Actually, combined, you're working on the combined timing now to get both those landmarks built. So there's a real big disconnect there. I agree with the redevelopment. It has to be right. I don't know where this is going. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public wishes to speak? Okay, can we have a motion, please?
Make a motion? Yes, Council President, I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing and to adopt 6349 and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Discussion?
Thank you, Council President. The property here resides on my block, in fact, let alone the ward I have the honor of representing. You know, I'm all for redevelopment. I watched the original buildings go down that were there for years upon years, and I was excited. Excuse me. I was excited to see it. I was excited to yelling, bring on the restaurant on the corner. We need more restaurants and bars downtown. We do. It's one thing we don't have that other cities do that are very successful. However, 6 months later, I got reports back that this developer knocked down buildings with the asbestos still inside. And that is a flat fact. Call me a boy who cried wolf or whatever. It happened. So let's get beyond that and beyond everything, beyond the hush, hush, hush about it. Let's talk about what the building is now and what's going up. And the mayor is on the record saying that he asked the redeveloper to change the appearance of the building because he didn't like it. The city, we want something better. And yet it doesn't look like we're getting something better right now. And there's been a lot of commotion over it, of how it's being built. And in my opinion, for my neighborhood, we're not appreciative of it. The building should be designed where the parking lot is not on Morris Avenue. Morris Avenue, no one's going to use it. They're going to park on our streets. It's going to be very difficult to go into the parking garage through Morris Avenue. If you know the 6th Ward, you would know that as well. Question I have is, what is the change? Why are we, I want these answered, please. What is the change? Why is this the Second Amendment? Are there any upgrades to the redevelopment plan? Who were the other developer that bid on this project, and how much did they offer to pay? The answer, I want that read. I want to know, please. And why is Meridia getting that cheaper than the other bidder? I want to know that as well. I want to know out in the open so the residents know. So there's so much to be said about this property. They've had to halt the redevelopment, the destruction of this several times, taking the building down because of questionable practices, taking the building down. From what they're putting up in our ward and our community, to give them another 400 units after they started at 250 and then 300 and 320. Now we have 402, so we got micro units. They're not making a respectable product. Go down the street, what they're building in Rawway, the brownstones, the mayor of Rawway said, build the brownstones. The building's a lot nicer. It looks a lot nicer. It doesn't have brick stickers on it. And that's how we feel as a community. And I'm the voice of that community. I'm going to voice out the residents that I have the honor to serve. I'm going to voice out their opinions. The building could have been built better. And why are we giving them 400 more units when they have such a track record in this city, where other cities are choosing not to use them anymore? We're choosing to use them more. And that is just not right. So they're going to get another 30-year tax abatement, 400 units. None of it goes to the school board. And again, I have a problem with that, because if we get $400,000 in the city, into this municipal budget from this, well, say there's 40 kids in the building. That's an extra $1 million that the school board's going to have. So you're making a gap. You're causing a gap. And how long till that gap is just too burdensome for the school district? I propose right here and right now that we offer 25% of the pilot money, all the pilot money, to the school board in order to try to make them whole, because they're going to have to look to build another school, and we don't have room as it is. And that's just my opinion. We in the 6th Ward are going to have to live with this. Meridia 1's barely full. I would say it's 60% full by the look of it. And I look at it because I'm in the shadow every day. If someone could prove me wrong, come door to door with me, I welcome them to come door to door with me, because I know everybody in that building. And they move a lot. And every time they come to me, they say, John, I'm not happy with the management. Or they say, John, I'm not happy with this. Or, John, there's just not much to do. So we're going down the street to Roselle at the park. We're going down the street to Rawway. Because Rawway built an infrastructure before they built apartments. Instead, we're just building apartments to not even the highest bidder. So
Thank you,
respectfully, I'm voting no on this all the way through.
Anybody else? Councilwoman Ormond?
Yes, I just want to make a point. I'm a former board member for 8 years, and the number that was quoted, it sounds good, but it's really kind of like a skewed number. There's this thing called the economy of scales. While the school board will say that it costs $19,000 per child to educate, what they do, they take every single last one of the components to education, including gas, electric, facilities, everything, and they lump that number together and divide it amongst the amount of students that they have. So if you take 30 more students and you populate them into school number 6 or whatever, you're not taking that full $19,000 and throwing it and tagging around the child. Because number one, gas, electric, teachers, paras, busing, books, everything is already encompassed in that number. So what you have to realize too, that what it costs to educate a pre-K student is not the exact same dollar amount that it costs to educate a child that's in 7th or 8th grade. And if a building has 29 students in it, you can best believe that they're not 29 5-year-olds, or 29 of them are not between the ages of 5 and 11. You're going to find that some of them are in high school, some are in middle school, and yes, some of them are even special education students that are out of district. So we can't take that number as gospel and say that that's what it is. Because like I said, once we start putting all the facets together that are encompassed in that educational budget, You can't tag $10,000 around a child because she's not in that classroom and we have to have electricity. I'm sorry. It's just, like I said, it's the economy of scales. And I'm a board member. I was on the board for 8 years. And I try to educate parents. And another comment that I want to make, too, is that we can earmark, if we wanted to, some things. But for once, it's going to be nice to be able to take money that really is due the city. I know I hate when Uncle Sam takes a chunk of my taxes first. I'd like to be able to give him what I want to give him. But, you know, each governing entity has their budget, and it's up to them to work their budget to the best of their ability. We can find a happy medium with what we have and what we're going to be getting, and there's lots of things that we can do for the city, and I believe both entities can work well together. But don't be fooled by that large number that everybody throws out, $19,000+ per child. It's not. The more children that you have in a facility, the actual cost per pupil goes down if you can do the first grade math. That's all.
Okay. Okay, can we have a roll call, please? We have a
Mrs.
motion and a
Zimmerman?
second on the
Yes.
floor.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Cosby?
No.
Roman?
No.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Abstain?
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
No.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Okay, ordinance 6350.
An ordinance approving the application for a long-term tax exemption and authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with Meridia 1001 Urban Renewal Linden LLC.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, ma'am.
Has any written communication been received?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any,
From Roshana Cosby. The City Council of this city is ignoring their obligation to the residences of the City of Linden according to the same redevelopment act that is on for a vote. Ordinance 6349 calls for a second amendment, 6350 long-term tax exemption, and 6351 amending the redevelopment agreement. We should not, I repeat, not overlook the very laws that are referenced. Appendix 8 of the New Jersey Housing and Redevelopment Law clearly states 40A:12A-4.1, affordable housing units required for tax abatements certain. Any municipality that has designated a redevelopment area provides for a tax abatement within that redevelopment area and has adopted a housing element pursuant to Section B of Section 19 of Public Law 1975, Chapter 291, may, by ordinance, require as a condition for granting a tax abatement that the redeveloper set aside affordable residential units or contribute to an affordable housing trust fund established by the municipality. The requirements may be imposed upon developers of market-rate residential or non-residential construction or both at the discretion of the municipality. For the purpose of this section, affordable shall mean affordable to persons of low or moderate income as defined pursuant to the Fair Housing Act. The law further states 48:12A-4.2, guidelines for tax abatement relative to affordable housing. Any municipality that makes the receipt of a tax abatement conditional upon the contribution to an affordable housing trust fund shall include within the ordinance detailed guidelines establishing the parameters of this requirement, including but not limited to the following. A, standards governing the extent of the contribution based on the value of construction for market-rate residential or non-residential construction, as the case may be, provided, however, that this contribution shall not exceed $1,500 per unit for the market-rate residential construction, $1.50 per square foot for commercial construction, and 10 cents per square foot for industrial construction. B, a schedule of payments based upon phase of construction, and C, parameters governing the expenditure of these funds, legitimate purposes for which these funds may be used, and the extent to which funds may be used for the municipality for administration. The Township of Union has a project that is currently accepting applications, and wouldn't you know, these luxury apartments on Morris Avenue have set-aside apartments for low to moderate income individuals and families. They have minimum income and maximum income requirements. We are doing something wrong here. 500-plus new units planned, and no one planned for keeping the city affordable to the residents who live here. We can stop this and make it right now. That's the conclusion of the correspondence.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to be heard on this ordinance? Mr. Herberg? Please state your name again and address.
Hans Herberg, 51 West Dover Road. I had a question. I'm sure a lot of taxpayers, and I'm sure a lot of viewers got to agree with me. When we're talking about long-term, how many years? Are we talking about like 5 years, 10 years, or is it till I get older, with grandkids? Well, I have no kids on the record, so, I just want to know where we're getting out of it. It's just, we all pay taxes to Uncle Sam, hey, it's great though, but, the only time it could be tax exemption if there's through nonprofits. I'm on one of the boards actually, and with the development, I want to know what kind of deals are we getting for the community as taxpayers. I think that's fair though.
Mr. Northgrave? Did you hear?
Tom, I missed the question.
Can you repeat your question? I'll stop the clock.
All right.
Sorry, sir.
Oh, no problem. When we're talking about long-term, what does it mean? Are we talking about 10 years, 20 years, or until
30.
I'm elderly with kids? I'm done with kids. I'm just hypothetically, I've gone through nonprofit groups I'm on the board, and I know tax exemptions comes from nonprofit groups, but, what is the community getting out of it, as a taxpayer perspective?
How long, is the question, how long is the tax exemption?
Well, it says long-term tax exemption. I kind of want to know what how long is the long-term?
30 years.
30 years? And
It's in effect for 30 years. It doesn't start until the project draws its certificate of completion, and that's the effective date of the exemption, and that goes for 30 years.
Okay, and also, how much revenue will we get out of it in the community? Because everybody
That's
wants...
That's the number the mayor quoted, is 30 million over
30
the
million,
30
okay, I got you.
years.
I just want to make sure it
Yeah.
clarified.
That's directly to Linden. There's other pieces that go other places, but Linden gets 30 million. That's Linden's share over the next 30 years.
I got you. I'm not trying to be rude or anything. It's just, I feel like it's fair, from it, when it comes to tax exemption, I usually like to question on that, but, I really appreciate you guys to answer me on that one. I just want to make sure, that's all.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Anyone else wishes to be heard on this? Mr. Kazar?
Oh, okay.
Please state your name and address again, please.
John Kaiser, 23 West Munsell Avenue. Having problems with my phone right here, sorry. Today, Jersey City's mayor posted about tax abatements. We're holding developers accountable as if they made a commitment to Jersey City residents. We expect that commitment to be filled. This will be the third tax abatement we revoke this year. It seems like a lot of these buildings won't even be around in 30 years. Just a little about the affordable housing. I brought it up, Mr. Antonelli. You say that, no, you can't go back and change things now, but we could work on future developments. But all of these developments were future at one time. Okay, so nothing's being set aside. As far as gentrification goes, okay, you either see a value in your community and you build upon it, or you see it as a detriment and you seek to remove it. I know a lot of my friends over on St. George Ave are not going to be able to move into those apartments over there, and the mayor's answer to this is get a better job, get better skills. I'm all about upward mobility, okay? Yes, I see that, but it's not so easy for some people.
Mr. Kazar, can you please speak about the financial agreement? That's what this is on.
Okay, my councilman pretty much nailed it. They're not giving to the school board. I think it's a bad, we're just giving away. Every one of these properties are a tax exemption, and I don't get it. Okay, fine, they gave $1 million off the rip, but like I said, 30 years from now, these buildings look like they'll be taken down.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that wishes to speak on this? Okay, can we have a motion, please?
Council President, I make a motion to adopt close the public hearing on ordinance 63-50 and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs.
Anybody
Ormond?
discussion? Mr. Councilman Roman?
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Council President. I just want to reiterate for this pilot agreement, it's 30 years. It's a lot of money. You know, you hear $30 million. Again, I would like to ask redevelopment council or engineers or whoever can answer me, are they making any substantial upgrades to the sewer system? Nicole, you live in the area. You know, the second ward has sewer problems already, flooding problems.
Councilman, again, this is on the financial
Thank
agreement.
you.
Please
So
stick to that.
Financially, are they making, I guess it's probably going to be on us to make the upgrades. Unless there's something I don't know, I'd like to hear that. Financially, it sounds like a gem. They start the first 10 years, first 15 years, 11% of their gross revenue. It goes up 12%, 13.5%. I'm just saying, I'm voting no respectfully because, you know, I don't agree with the work, and also 400 units, was it 6 stories, 7 stories, rooftop bar restaurant. I mean, just, you ever try to make a left off of Elizabeth Avenue? It's very difficult. It's a lot of units.
Councilman, we're
Financial
speaking.
statement, everything.
Yeah.
I understand. It's a lot of money. It sounds like a lot of money. However, I don't agree with the 400 units in the pilot, so I'm going to simply vote no for this. Thank you,
Thank you,
Council President. Thank you for
Councilman
your time.
Strano?
Council President, I respectfully request a ruling on a person introducing an ordinance and then voting against it.
Mr. Antonelli?
There is a council person could vote yes to introduce and abstain or vote no on the second reading. There's nothing illegal or problematic about that.
Okay, just want to make sure that the ordinance would hold.
Thank you, Mr. Antonelli. Anyone else? Okay, can we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Cosby?
No.
Roman?
No.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Abstain?
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
No.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Ordinance 6351.
An ordinance amending the redevelopment plan for the Southwood Avenue redevelopment project pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law, NJSA 48:12A-1 and sequence.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, ma'am.
Has any written communication
No,
been
ma'am.
received? Is there anyone from the public that wishes to be heard on this ordinance? Seeing none, can we have a motion, please?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to close the hearing and to adopt ordinance 6351 and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Councilman Roman?
Thank you, Council President.
Discussion?
Thank you, Council President. This is a little bit different. Southwood Avenue redevelopment project, I assume was probably passed in like 13, the Gabrunka era. This is changing, and I believe, if my memory serves me correct, it's changing it to include 14 West Linden. I would like to confirm, is that fact?
14, I missed the last word, 14 less what?
That we're amending the Southwood Avenue redevelopment project to include 14 West Linden Avenue, the Winans House, the old.
No, what's before you is just, it allows for retail office uses on both the first and second floors.
And that is not going to add or include 14 West Linden.
No, I don't think this doesn't affect 14 West Linden at all.
Thank you, Council. That's all I have then. If it's not including 14 West Linden, the Winans House.
Councilwoman Hickey?
Yes, thank you. I know some of you are puzzled out here tonight, and this does pertain to the ordinance. It's hard. Sometimes we have to agree to disagree on certain things. My issues are about the infrastructure and maybe failing as a city to have the proper train stations, sidewalks, storing, Wood Avenue in place for these projects to happen. But I do want to add that the Capitaglia firm has been very, very good to our city when it comes to many things. when it comes to help with seniors, when it comes to special events, when it comes to things we need at school. So I don't think it's always fair, even though we may say no to some of these ordinances, to actually totally bash Meridia in a full. We all have different ways of seeing things sometimes, so I do need to put it out there that they do good things in our community, and whenever we do call and ask, I think other council members can attest to this, they are always willing to help and do good things in the community as well. We just always will not agree on certain business that has been handled. So I just wanted to let everybody know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Medina, you?
Yes, thank you, Council President. I also want to echo some of Councilwoman Hickey's comments and also just give my reasonings on why I supported the two ordinances, the 49 and 50. I've always been a supporter of redevelopment in the town of Linden. I do believe in responsible redevelopment in the city of Linden. I also believe in the pilot program. I think the pilot program is flexible enough to give leverage where developers can come in and build and also help tie in their finances when it comes to building these buildings. I know there's been issues, there's been a lot of concerns, Chair, from the public and also on this dais. But again, I want to give my reasonings why I voted yes for these ordinances, because I was supported it, been a big supporter of development in this town, where my counterparts on dais voted no, and I voted yes, and as you can see tonight, I vote yes, they vote no. So at the end of the day, we agree to disagree, but at the end of the day, I think we have our best interests for the city of Linden and the residents, because at the end of the day, especially in the 1001 property, we're collecting zero tax dollars. Zero. It's just a liability for the city. So I'm actually excited to start seeing some revenues coming in from that property. And again, when it comes to our schools and whatnot, if we need to go back to the table and look at those pilots, I'm sure our attorneys can figure that out. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, can we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Cosby?
No.
Roman?
No.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Abstain?
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes. Ordinance 6352.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7, Traffic, of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance adopting and enacting the revised general ordinances of the City of Linden, 1999, passed November 23rd, 1999, improved November 24th, 1999, and as amended and supplemented. 7-33 handicap parking regulations, 7-33.1A handicap parking on the street. Name of street, add 738 Dennis Place, opposite side of the street. One space.
Okay. Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, ma'am.
Has any written communication been received?
No, ma'am.
Is there anyone from the public that wishes to be heard on this ordinance? Seeing none, can we have a motion, please?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the ordinance, to actually close the hearing and to adopt ordinance 6352, and ask for a second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Cosby?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Abstain?
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Okay, consent agenda items. All items listed with asterisks are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Okay, I just want to announce that on item number 4, the date has been changed from, just go to it,
20th
from
of
December 20th to December 13th. That's for the bagging of the meters. So that's a change on the agenda items. Does any council member wish to remove any item? Seeing none, could we have a motion, please?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to accept consent agenda items 1 through 5, and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed? Cosby?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis.
Yes. Okay, committee reports and comments from members of the governing body. We'll start with Ward number 1.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to start off by reading the Division of Transportation and Parking Report submitted by Tyrone Gibbons, who is the Traffic Maintenance Supervisor. I hereby submit the monthly financial report from the Division of Transportation and Parking for the month of October 2019. This report includes the collection of on- and off-street parking meters, railroad parking lots, railroad parking permits, and merchant parking permits. The Trenton side collections, $5,311. New York side collection, $3,333.75. Railroad credit card transactions, $31,777.72. Railroad permits, $1,175. Online railroad permits, $9,785. Parking meter collections, $15,658.95. Merchant permits, 0. The grand total is $67,041.42. Once again, submitted by Tyrone L. Gibbons, the Traffic Maintenance Supervisor. My report's going to be really brief. I just want to first of all extend my congratulations to our newly sworn-in councilman, Mr. Garnett Blaine. Congratulations. I look forward to working with you. I've known you for a long time. Welcome to the council. I'd like to also extend my congratulations on the reelection of Councilman Barry Javick, Councilwoman Rashana Cosby, and Councilman Ralph Strano. And I would also like to extend my warm congratulations to Councilwoman-elect Monique Caldwell. Would like to also let the city of, well, the first ward know that we are still on for our community yard sale, which is going to be November 22nd with a rain date of November 23rd. The fee for the permit will be waived. The first ward will also be having a holiday craft make and take. We'll actually be having 2 sessions. One session will be on Thursday evening, December 12th from 6 to 8 p.m., and the other one will be Saturday, 12/14 from noon to 3 p.m. We'll be having hot chocolate, holiday music, and we'll be making a variety of Christmas, Kwanzaa, and Hanukkah crafts. The Linden Heritage and Cultural Committee will also like to invite the residents of the city of Linden to their Christmas tree lighting, which will take place on December 6, 2019. At City Hall, there'll be entertainment, a visit by Santa, lots of exciting activities for the children. And also, if you are in need of leaf bags, please give me a phone call, 908-370-6482, or text me. You also have the option of emailing me, lormon@linden-nj.org. I will have bags for those who need them. And once again, with the leaves falling, please be careful not to rake them or blow them into the catch basins because they create flooding problems. I just would like to wish everyone a wonderful and a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your families, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Javick?
Yes, Council President. As chairman of the Fire Committee, the Fire Prevention Bureau collected the following monies during the month of October 2019. $9,338.30. Also, in regards to the Linden Fire Department ambulance billing, the amount of $62,200.15 for October 2019 have been added to the total deposit for 2019 totaling $585,715.37. Tonight, we have increased the amount of residential parking decals issued by our traffic department. This program is having a positive effect in the second ward and throughout our city. In addition, more revenue is being generated at our transit parking lots. In the second ward, Elizabethtown Gas has been improving their lines from low pressure to high pressure. It's scheduled for December, and they will involve about 176 households on West Elm, West Henry, West Curtis, Miltonia, and Loretta Streets. They will not be working for 2 weeks around the Christmas holidays. I have had many requests also by residents for additional sidewalks on Style Street, especially in the area of Nofsky Park, and I've discussed this with the engineering department, and they assured me that they're working on this. Tree leaves are falling and piles are being put in the street. Please be considerate and don't mix yard waste, meaning bushes and trimmings, in these piles. It could damage the equipment that picks it up, and if the operator sees it in there, they're going to just bypass it. Also, please, as Councilman Orman said, don't put the piles near the sewer grates. New tree plantings in the second ward will start the end of the month. Only particular trees will be planted that are hardy for a fall planting. And in addition, the new recycling rollout will start this December also. Reach out to me with any concerns or requests at 908-494-4608 or email me at bjavick@linden.newjersey.org. If you wish, I also wish your families a happy Thanksgiving. And Council President, end of report.
Thank you, Councilman Javik. Councilman Mohammed?
Thank you, Council President. The City Court License Division Committee, its monthly report for the month of October 2019, the office issued 41 dog licenses, 43 miscellaneous licenses, collected $1,083. 92 birth, death, and marriage transcripts, $1,380. Linden, marriage and civil union, $69. Miscellaneous revenues, $33.25. Bingo and raffle, $100. EDRS lighting statistic, $1,740. Interest earned, 77 cents. Total to the city, $3,323.02. And to the state, $575. Grand total, $3,898.02. I'd like to first of all congratulate all the veterans, and as a veteran of the United States Navy, proudly served our country, and would also like to also congratulate the families of the veterans, that we had a very outstanding veteran ceremony yesterday, and it's quite heartbreaking to know that this is the greatest country on earth, and to have served it. And it's my prayer as we come up on Thanksgiving that we will appreciate this great country and understand that it's a privilege to be in this country, and that is due with respect to the civil institutions. And I would urge people as they approach this diet to understand that people did die and fight for this country. And this is not a joke, it's not an entertainment place, and I don't appreciate people disrespecting this great country. Secondly, I don't think this is a place for entertainment. I've heard some people say they come here to get a kick out of the public meetings. But frankly, I don't get a kick out of seeing people making a fool of themselves. I've been on the phone too long to see that. And with that being said, I also would like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And finally, in my report, the city Department of Public Works is doing a phenomenal job and mediating potholes. We've had incidents of potholes in the fourth quarter. They have been taken care of immediately, thanks to the Department of Public Works. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. God bless America, and God bless the city of Linden, and God bless all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Cosby?
From the Fifth Ward, I want to just report that the Hagel Avenue Park is under construction. I know everybody's seeing it now. It's late in the season. Like I said before, we had to get the park drainage under control, get it fixed and repaired. So the park will be ready in the spring, and it's almost finished. From the Environmental Commission, the commission had their second training. The commissioners, I should say, had their second training, and they'll be looking for new commissioners next year. Unfortunately, I know that one person in the room had already put in a volunteer form and was ignored, but if you have an interest in the environment and you want to serve, go to the city's website and download the volunteer service form, if that's the proper name, whatever it is, and just submit that to the clerk's office so that we can get folks who are interested in serving, because the last thing you want is to have people appointed who have no interest in serving. And so with that, I'm just going to reference what's going to, in an ordinance that's coming up tonight, an ordinance to reverse an ordinance from 8 years ago, where we as council chose the committees we wanted to sit on based on our talents. I'll tell you, when I first got here in 2011, I was shoved into the landfill committee. They gave, I was put on all kind of nonsense. It is what it is. I mean, I'm here to serve, and I'll serve to the best of my ability wherever you put me. But when I'm on a committee, my expectation is that everybody's going to serve. So if the ordinance is not, if it is approved, which it is, because we got Super 6 here, then wherever I go, I'm going to serve to the best of my ability. But I want to be clear. I'm not going to be yelled at. I'm not going to be bullied. Because I want to listen to you guys. You should start coming to the caucus meeting. I'm going to tell you right now. It's a thing, okay? That's where we're supposed to work it out. And today we came in late because I was late. I promise I was late. I left the emergency room to come here, okay? I was late. So I'm here. But I came. And you got one councilman, he was on the phone the whole time, but he didn't show up here. Why? Right? So I get it, but we work on the committee form of government. None of us report to the others. I wanted to just make sure that was clear when we start working on our committees for 2020. Congratulations to the folks who did win their elections. And Councilman Blaine, welcome. Don't get discouraged. I know there was a little bit of drama in the back, and people tried to force feed you how they wanted you to see things, and that's just my opinion. Get the facts for yourself. The minutes are public, they're printed, and we got lots and lots of videos. So I'm looking forward to working with you, whatever committee we get put on. Perhaps we can work together. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilman Roman.
Thank you, Council President. I'm going to try to speed through this because I got a lot to say. Councilman Blaine, congratulations, sir. Serve your residents with honor. In layman terms, the ordinance that the councilwoman had just mentioned that we can't really talk about because it's on first reading. Fact is that normally in the first of the year, I'll raise my hand and say I want to be on accident review, engineering, landfill, and negotiations because that's what I'm good at. The ordinance is changing it to reverting it back to what it was 8 years ago, which the council president just decides. So we no longer have any ability to decide what, I don't, and the other council members individually do not have the ability to decide what ordinance they're on. Whether you agree with that or not, that's outside. I disagree with it. I think, I like accident review. I get to, help you guys with stop signs and handicap parking, the small things. I really like that. But I'm not going to have that option. I'm going to request it again, but it's going to be mostly out of the council's hands, just in the council president's hands. Again, agree or disagree, however you want. I just want to explain that. Walmart's opening up tomorrow. Going to bring a lot of traffic. The widening is, hasn't happened yet. It happened on the area, but not off-site yet. Over the next 6 months, you'll see South Stiles, Linden and Stiles, Elizabeth and Stiles, relighted, repaved. A lot of work's going to be done over the next 6 months. It's been 10 years in the work. As previously reported, Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, LA Fitness will join them. Down the road, there'll be some very unique restaurants and bars in the corner there, 1,984 parking spots, and a lot more coming. If you want to think about what it's like, it's same engineering company as Clark Commons. So it's going to be set up kind of similar, though I think it's a little bit bigger. So the widening is going to be coming over the next 6 months. The meters or the meter replacements are going on in the 6th Ward right now. Right now, we're getting natural gas lines repaved, so they are cutting up our streets quite a bit. Don't worry, they have to repave that area. And on West Stimson and Mitchell, the city's requiring them to repave the whole thing. So I'm going to stay on them to make sure that they don't leave our streets in shambles, like that happened on Clinton Street a couple years ago. Meridia 2 is almost, it's not done. It's buttoned up, as Meridia said to me the other day. They buttoned it up, so there's a roof over the guys' heads. They're working on the inside now. They're hoping for a spring opening. I had my 4th 6th Ward community meeting. I took so much time to get me ready. I forgot to take a picture, and I wanted to, the reason I take a picture is to thank all the residents that came out. Tanya, thank you for coming, and all the other residents of the 6th Ward that showed up. There were over 50 or 60 of you, so thank you for listening to me and giving me the ideas on how I can help you better serve, how I can serve better. Rebecca Street is right near Walmart. It's going to be probably increase in traffic with the Walmart going there. So I'm looking on with the committee and with Lieutenant Gunther to put a temporary one-way or a one-way there to one-way out, so that all the cars from Walmart aren't trying to jump in that little 2-block area. So hopefully we can test that out. The residents are definitely open to it. I didn't hear one person say no, and that's what I'm here for. If they all say yes, and we're supposed to do it for them because they're the ones paying the bills. Smith Street, Anne Marie Vasquez and I have been working with Nancy from Phillips 66 on the trains. It's gotten much better. You have a problem with a train, call me, please. I don't care if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, call me. It's my job, and I love doing it. Clinton Street, we're going to be painting Clinton Street a little bit of a different way on the other side of the highway, try to slow the Phillips 66 people down as they're leaving work. It's just a little bit of a new thing that we're going to try and attempt. It's cheap, and it might actually slow the people down. Trees, lots of trees getting cut. There's new ones coming in on the spring. If you want a tree, let me know. Sidewalks, same. VFW and St. Teresa's getting new sidewalks. A couple other spots in the ward. Permit parking, we're expanding permit parking in the 6th Ward. Same thing as the 2nd Ward. We call them creepage. The creepers just kind of went an extra block away from the train station. And, you know, we're just trying to catch up with them. So that'll help Lynn Court. Mr. Manutza, Galloping Hill Cruisers, you guys did an awesome job in remembrance of Joey Rod and Frankie V. You guys continue to outdo yourselves, and it's just an amazing thing you do for the city in remembrance of those 2 awesome men. Hans, the plaque you did for Frankie, it was really nice, and he presented it there. It was a really awesome thing that you did. I hope people can see that online. The Halloween parade was excellent. There was an airplane crash. Council President, may I have just another minute? There was an airplane crash last week in Colonia. A man lost his life in an airplane crash. But that family that lost their house, no one died from the family. However, they're lifelong 6th Warders. They live right, the family still lives a block away from me, and they are staying in the area. I've taken up a collection for them. Anything. ShopRite gift cards would be best. Anything to help them. I know insurance usually helps people out, but that's weeks, months away. They lost everything that was in their house that day, completely. So it's a great family, great 6th Ward family. They're private. They don't want the publicity, but I always want to help someone in need. And just on the fire department, thank God that the firefighters were okay in that accident a couple weeks ago on the Turnpike. However, the fire engine is probably totaled, and I hope the city council can expedite a new engine for them next year. Happy Thanksgiving, happy Veterans Day, everyone that served. Thank you for allowing me to do this job through your service. Thank you, Council President.
Councilman Strano?
Thank you, Council President. I think the first item of importance is to pay the bills so that we could all get paid. I had a couple of excited city employees bug my ear. This has to be read. This is usually a 3rd Ward councilman's job. The approval is requested for the following finance actions: the payment of bills totaling $1,407,476.65. The bills have been signed by the mayor, the council president, and the finance chairman, and a detailed check register and vouchers are on file in the city clerk's office. We are also in receipt of investments made by the city treasurer for the month of October at the rate of 2 3/4%. I move for approval and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Cosby?
No.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yamakitis?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the personnel report. Number 1 is in the Board of Health. This is, A is the reposting of a countywide for a full-time housing inspector. B is the hiring of Heather Grillo as Clerk 1 full-time at an annual salary of $34,548, effective December 2nd, 2019, pending the successful completion of all pre-employment requirements. 2, in the Fire Department, A, authorization to file for a waiver of the Fire Chief examination. 3, in the Department of Community Service, A is an increase in pay for Joshua Fries, Laborer 1 to $18 an hour, effective November 13th of 2019. B is amending the hiring date for Martin Washington, a truck driver, as truck driver to November 6, 2019, from October 28th of 2019. C is the approval of a seasonal list, which is on file in the city clerk's office. Under item 4, recreation, A is the hiring of Laura Lee Wade and Belinda McGee as part-time recreation leaders at $12 an hour, not to exceed 25 hours per week, effective November 18th of 2019, pending the successful completion of all pre-employment requirements. B is the approval of a permanent transfer of Tracy Birch to the Department of Recreation as a part-time Clerk 1 at no change of salary, effective November 12th of 2019. C is the approval of the permanent transfer of Brad Crienzo to the Department of Recreation as a recreational leader at no change of salary, and that's effective November 4th of 2019. D is the approval of the seasonal list, which is on file in the clerk's office. 5, in municipal court, A is accepting the resignation in good standing of Giselle Fountain Williams, full-time Clerk 1, effective October 15th of 2019. B is the approval of the permanent transfer of Jerry Aquino to the municipal court as a Clerk 1 at no change in salary, effective November 4th of 2019. 6, in personnel, is the FMLA, the files on list in the Personnel Division. And B is accept the approval of the city's layoff plan for the audio-visual specialists. That's the end of the personnel report. Do we have any questions?
Mrs. Malik? Please come up and state your name and address, please.
Virginia Malik, Lenape Road. My first question pertains to 2A, to file or to authorization to file for a waiver. What is the rationale for this? And we'll start with that question.
Council
Mr.
President?
Roth?
We have a vacancy in the fire department at chief. We have a provisional chief in right now, Chief Haskell. The requirement is for promotional exam. We'll either have to take a promotional exam, which means we'll call for a civil service test, or if we don't have enough eligible candidates who desire to take the test, then we can ask for a waiver. We have enough people to say that that opted out of the test, which means that we're going to file a waiver for Chief Haskell to be made.
All right, because I saw some other questions here. All right. The next question is on 2A. I'm a big proponent for the merit system, and we have an individual that's getting a pay raise, so what I'd like to know if this person, if it's a merit system. I'm a big proponent also for performance appraisals. And then there was, maybe 1 or 2 months ago, I saw a lot of hiring in the recreation department. So I see all these individuals going in there, recreation leaders. So I want to know what they're going to be doing, especially Brad, because from my understanding, he used to be like in our media department, and now he's a recreation leader. So what is he going to be doing? Or all of these recreation leaders? It seems like there's an influx into the recreation department. Doing what?
Mr. Roth?
All right, well, were they all your questions?
That's it.
Okay, so 3A, you asked about the
Merit.
salary increase, correct?
Yes.
Okay, there was additional duties that were being assigned to Mr. Freeze, which necessitated the increase. Take a step back. The thing with Brad is we did a layoff plan for the audiovisual specialists, so we are moving Brad back to.
A layoff plan, you said?
Yes. So we were moving Brad back to the permanent title that he was in, and Mr. Aquino, who was the other one, other audiovisual specialist, is moving into the court to take the place of the resignation. So there's a wash there. Actually, we're saving money because we're not backfilling.
And what about the influx of all these recreation leaders?
I would have to defer to the department head for the need for the additional rec leaders. I can't answer that question.
And who's that person to answer that question?
For the Recreation Department?
Right.
Mr. Dunham, I'm sure you could meet with him after, okay.
Does he care to answer now?
Mr. Dunham, if you'd like to come up.
Ms. Laura Lee, first of all, their titles are all recreation leaders, so there's no title changes. Ms. Lee is currently working for the Recreation Department. We changed her from a seasonal employee to a part-time employee. And Belinda McGee, we increased our hours. That was basically the change. She's currently working for, so there's no additional manpower. We're just rechanging their classification or adding additional hours.
And a recreation leader, basically, that's their position?
It's a generic title that they've used in the city of Linden for years. I inherited, and we're just keeping it in place while we go through my transitional period of being employed.
So does that also constitute something like management or supervision, for a leader, or no?
There is some supervision, yes.
That they belong?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Malik. Anybody else have any questions? Ms. Vlasic? Please state your name and address.
Kelly Vlasic, 30 West Curtis Street, Linden. My question is in regard to number 4B, approval of the permanent transfer of Tracy Birch to the Department of Recreation as a part-time clerk. This past, I want to say maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, it was the first time that I really needed to have any interaction with construction, which is where I believe she's being transferred from. And I was told that what I needed to have done was going to be taking quite some time because they were so backed up. This past week, there's been some posts and, discussion throughout the city as that as well. So I'm just curious why we would take somebody from construction department, which is so backed up, and transfer them to recreation department. And if she is being permanently transferred to recreation, do you have any intentions on adding people to construction with all the backlog that they have?
Mr. Roth, can you answer that, please?
One is that Mr. Dunham needed the extra help. There was someone who transferred out of recreation, so we parked with a full-time employee, clerk 5 level, who moved out, so there would need to be a little bit backfilling there. In terms of the construction code, we're working with Mr. Godomsky to reorganize. We may be working with Mr. Godomsky to reorganize the department some.
Okay. So is there maybe any type of code or, I don't know, law or employee handbook where you would just pick a person from any department to be transferred to something else? Or is there a listing of people that could possibly be transferred? What is the protocol for that? You just pick out anybody from any department to move them over, or how do you pick this what made you pick an individual from construction that was a department that's so backlogged to move them over to recreation that seems to have a lot of employees?
There is no code or handbook. There's a procedure to transfer is in code. The selection is done by
That's what I'm saying. Is it random? Was there other people that she was picked out of? Was there a pool of people and it was okay, we can move her? Or was she the only person that was thought about to be transferred out of construction to recreation?
Clerk 1s can be transferred anywhere. She's a Clerk 1 position.
So just to clarify though, is there going to be somebody to be put in that department considering they are so backlogged? Wouldn't it have made more sense to pull somebody from a department that wasn't as backed up as construction?
I can't answer what's going to happen, but we are looking at reconfiguring the construction code department.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Council does not speak on the personnel matters. It's done in caucus. Anybody else wish to speak on this? Okay, can we have a roll call, please? Oh, did you do a motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion for acceptance of the personnel report and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Cosby?
I abstain, I don't vote on personnel.
Roman?
I abstain on 4B and yes to the rest.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Abstain?
Medina?
No to 4B and yes to the remainder.
Hickey?
No to 4B and yes to the remainder.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Mr. Clerk, did a 4B pass?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank all the...
Councilman, I'm going to put you back to 3 minutes since it took up time with personnel report.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I'll be real brief. I'd just like to thank all our veterans for their service, those that are deceased and those that are walking amongst us. I had the privilege and the pleasure of attending a wonderful event, something that of the likes that last year was good. This year was even better. We honored 65 veterans from the city of Linden, and I was especially heartened by the fact that I was able to honor my uncle, one of my dad's youngest brothers, who's 93 years old, who served in the Navy in World War II, and it was something that he really appreciated, and he'd like everybody to know that. I want to congratulate all my running mates that ran with me this past election. Fortunately, we weren't opposed. And I'd also like to congratulate those Board of Education members and everybody that won and those that ran. It's what makes this country what it is today. And I mean that in a good sense, not a bad sense. I think I'm going to, I could make an engineering report, and I could make a landfill committee report and go on to DPW, but being that I've only got like a minute and 39 seconds, I'm just going to say I wish everybody a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, Councilman Blaine?
Again, I just want to thank everyone from the 8th Ward and the Democratic Club for putting me in this position. And as I mentioned earlier, I want to let everyone know that members of this council is fully capable of making decisions to govern this town. And what may seem chaotic, I assure you, is nothing but passion to show, to make sure we have accountability and balance. I also would like to say this to the people of the 8th Ward and the town of Linden. Give me the opportunity to do the job. You put me here, do not prejudge me, do not put me in a box, don't associate me. I'm my own man, I read, I don't make decisions based on somebody else's opinion. I represent the people of Linden, that is my job, that is what I will be doing. Again, give me the opportunity to do the job. I want to thank all the veterans because without you, we would not be here. Thank you for all your services and what you've done for this country. I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Open your hearts to your family, your loved ones, and let's honor each other as we should be. One note on my way over here, coming out the 8th Ward over by St. Mark's Park, I want all the residents to know there is a fox that's on the loose. So if you have small animals that you're letting out in your backyard by themselves to go to the bathroom, be aware there is a fox in our community that is roaming around. Again, we'll be making more announcements about the Democratic Club of the 8th Ward because we want more people to come out and participate in that. My phone number is 908-612-8995. Please call me with your concerns. I'll address them immediately or as soon as I can. Thank you again, and it's an honor and a privilege to be here representing the town of Linden.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Medina?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. I do have a quick motion to make on the 2 street lights. So I want to make a motion for the approval of the installation of street light at the following location, pole number 8289LD, located next to 1200 South Style Street, and pole number 63138, 817 Mac Place, and I request a second.
Second?
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Cosby?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Thank you. First, I just want to apologize for missing the last month council meeting. I was not well. Should have avoided lunch that day. Unfortunately, I just became ill, so I want to apologize for missing the last month October meeting. I just want to quickly just thank all of our veterans as well for their services and their commitment to this country. Also want to congratulate, since I wasn't here last month, I want to congratulate Chief Haskell on his appointment to as Fire Chief. Thank you. And also want to congratulate Councilman Blaine on his appointment and to everyone who won their re-election bid. So congrats, everyone. Quick report on the 9th Ward. Quick update on the sidewalk and road. DeWitt, Summit, Orchard, those rough patches were taken care of a little bit over a week ago. So I want to thank Frank Dan, Nick Pantina, and Joe Krobach for their assistance and getting together and just finding a solution to patch those sections of road. So I'm happy to see that happened, and now the folks are happier. So that's my overall goal. Road paving in the 9th Ward, everything's been pushed to 2020 spring, but I will continue to follow up and make sure that those roads get paved in the spring of 2020. Sidewalks should still be done this year. I am a little bit behind on editing the sidewalk list. Unfortunately, we're only allowed $10,000. I'm at $34,000, so I got to cut back that list. Well, we have a lot of sidewalks. See, 10th Ward, you guys don't have sidewalks. We have sidewalks, and unfortunately, we could negotiate. Well, fortunately, we have beautiful trees, but unfortunately, they do create some infrastructure issues to our sidewalks and whatnot, and some are really bad where it affects folks' driveways and whatnot. So I ask folks just continue to be patient with that. Working on that list, I will get it over to engineering tomorrow on midday with those edits. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to make some tough decisions and cut some addresses off. So I'm going to have to pick the worst one, and the ones that can go another year or into 2020 will have to wait a little bit longer. I just want to thank our police department. I think they wrapped up or are still continuing the pedestrian safety enforcement throughout the city of Linden with crosswalks and whatnot, and people just crossing the streets. This was actually a little bit of a hot topic on our community app. I was actually really bothered by it because our police department do an amazing job, and I'm a huge supporter of our police department, like the biggest supporter. Anything they need, they know I'm there for them. The chief knows that. Unfortunately, we had some residents that were complaining. They received summonses and whatnot, and folks asked, I have a general response. If you don't believe you received a ticket correctly, we have a process, right? We have a process called the judicial process. Go to court and fight it. That's what you can do. Unfortunately, a resident, I won't mention any names, was a little bit bothered that I made that recommendation. And I had to respond back to this individual and say, hey, what did I say that was wrong? That's our process. That's our judicial process. But I tell you this, anyone that reaches out to me and you think you have a problem or you think you were issue a citation that was not correct, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you the same exact advice. Follow our process, go to court, argue your argument, and see what happens then. So I was a little bit disturbed by that comment from this individual on our community page, hence why I stay away from Facebook and whatnot, because everyone has a different opinion, and I respect everyone's opinion, but to shine me in a bright light because I gave someone some advice that I will give to anyone, even family member. It just didn't make any sense to me at all, so. But thank you again to our police department. I have seen increased patrols. I know there was an incident the night before where cars were being broken into or cars were unlocked. Police are aware of that. And again, I just tell folks, just be extra cautious. And I keep on reinforcing the fact that we do live in a great community. Anywhere in the city of Linden, I feel comfortable walking anywhere in the city of Linden. I feel comfortable leaving my door open, just locking the storm door. I have no issues. And I thank our police department for that. With that being said, everyone, please have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Hickey?
Thank you, Council President. This morning, I sent an email to the Department of Public Works. Many residents have been a little upset with the 10th Ward. We've had tons of leaves. We have tree stumps and tree trunks all over the place. And our basins, you know, it isn't just the leaves on top, because honestly, if it's gonna have a good storm, yes, I get yelled at by my husband because I'm out there cleaning the top of the grates off myself. They need to be cleaned inside. The supervisor, John Venditto, sorry, they're brothers, was wonderful. He responded back to me immediately. He said, we're getting on top of the 10th Ward. Another issue was the trees in our schools. At School 9 and School 10, there is a resolution on tonight to hire a tree company to really tackle these problems. And he's also reassured me that by the next month or so, they should tackle a lot in the 10th Ward as far as trees go, because it is better to take care of them in the winter also. Tree pickup has started yesterday in the 9th and the 10th Ward. So not yesterday, today. Today's Tuesday. I always get screwed up when it's a holiday. So I just want to let everybody know that this out there. I've run out of excuses for them. Thank you for your patience. Things don't always go the way we need to, and I know that they do the best they can to try and get the jobs done. So, but if you have any other tree issues, please text them to me, call me, so I can get them on the list, so we get things taken care of. The other issue that a lot of residents have had are the leaves. Not about DPW just picking them up, but about the landscapers that come to the homes, and they're not only pushing out the residents' leaves to the curb, but every other job they did that day, and it's extremely unfair to the residents around the whole neighborhood, because with the wind being around, they're blowing all over, people are doing extra work, and I know most of the residents in the 10th Ward, they really take pride in their property. So, no grass clippings in those either. We do have an inspector who does a very, very good job, and, you know, game is on. If you're caught and your landscaper leaves them in front of your house, there's grass clippings in them, you're probably going to get a ticket. He's a tough guy, and he follows the rules, and if we don't follow the rules, things will really fall apart in our neighborhood. So I do believe in his good inspections and whatever he has to do as far as tickets go. Last month, I talked about around our schools, School 9, School 10, McManus. The next day, I got a phone call from the acting superintendent, Denise Cleary. Oh my goodness, what's going on in the schools? My email and phone is blowing up. So I explained to her, there's a lot of issues outside the schools. I mean, just pull in the parking lot in McManus, pull in the parking lot at School 10, the craters and potholes and the fences breaking down. I didn't get it to her last week, but I told her, rest assured, it's around the outside of the schools. We're going to work on getting them repaired, and obviously me speaking up here about them has pushed the issue to the limit that we're opening our eyes and recognizing issues. I will be getting a list together about her. Please feel free to email or text me if you have your own personal issues around the outside of the schools, so I can add them to my list. Armando, I know we're working together on this. Our concerns about all 3 schools in our wards are as important as your children are to you. They should look great, respectable, and be a happy place to walk into in the morning and leave in the afternoon. Let's see, I do have lawn bags. If anybody needs leaf bags, I don't have that many. Please just text me. Armando has them too. I know a lot of our residents request them, so we will need to request more if so needed. I do need to bring it to the attention of, oh geez, 1 or 2 more minutes. I do need to bring to the attention of our engineer and the city tonight, because I was approached by past Chief Miliano last night, who lives on Wickersham. Wonderful man, wonderful family, knew him since I was little, but the sinkholes in the streets are getting atrocious on that road, and someday we're gonna have a really bad emergency. I've been talking about this road for years. There's never any money, there's never any money. We need the money to repair this street. There's gonna be a dangerous, tragic problem there if we don't resolve it soon. The 10th Ward needs money too, and we need to get this problem fixed on the street as it floods our entire back of Highland Avenue School as well. Many of you posting on social media, Armando mentioned about car break-ins. Well, there were some posts that were put on there that were extremely negative towards the chief, where I've never seen him as upset as he was today. He lost his cool a little, which I think is good too. As police chief, he should. But many times there are issues that happen in our neighborhoods that we cannot really talk about on social media. I will tag the Linden Police Department in these posts sometimes, but everyone needs to be reassured. There are investigations that go on. There are many undercover patrol cars, and I know as a councilwoman, and I can rest assure the others as well, we let the police department know, whether it's the Detective Bureau, the Narcotics Bureau, but once it spills over on Facebook, plans to catch individuals that are doing wrong things could fall back on us. And I do want to let you know, this happens in other cities too. I mean, we are not alone. I drive through Westfield and I see the leaves there, and I'm surprised I'm not covered in them by the time I get down the 1 street, Clark Street. So it's not just us. It is all over. Society is changing. Communities are changing. I'm not allowed to, congratulations, Councilman Blaine. Been very impressed by your words and actions tonight, and I do appreciate them. And I do wish you the best in working together with you. American Legion Veterans 102 from Elizabeth Avenue went their first ceremony yesterday. Wonderful people, wonderful lunch for everybody. I wasn't able to make their bus trip to each monument, but it's really a great place to go, and they're very nice, and I want to thank them for having me yesterday. And I do have to touch on, and there was a rice notice passed on this.
Councilwoman, your time is up.
I just want.
I gave you 2 additional
Well, that's
minutes.
because I'm going
Thank
to
you.
talk about Tracy Birch.
We don't talk about personnel issues out
but
here on the
it's
floor. Thank you.
transparency.
Mayor Armstead, you
The
have
residents
floor.
need to know the truth.
Council President,
Yes.
may I?
Yes.
We have council rules, as I indicated in the caucus. Council rules, excuse me, Councilwoman. Council rules require personnel matters, well, actually, the Open Public Meetings Act requires personnel matters to be discussed in executive session. So we are permitted to exclude members of the public from those discussions. We did that this evening to discuss the personnel report, to respect, if you will, that exemption. Our council rules prohibit members of council from discussing the specifics, if you will, of the personnel report. All right, so there could be some generalities, but the moment we start discussing a specific individual, in this case Ms. Birch, that's a problem. You're going to subject this city to potential litigation and other adverse consequences by engaging this discussion in public.
My apologies, Council
So for this
President.
reasons, I would ask respectfully that we not engage in this conversation in public.
And yes, thank you for that, Mr. Antonelli. With all due respect, I just needed to show some transparency. It's unfortunate that we can't talk about what's really going on when there's already litigation going on, and it's not certainly about me. So
Councilwoman, your time is up.
Tracy Birch is an amazing person who doesn't deserve what she's getting.
Councilwoman, your time is up. Ms. Councilman Medina requested 20 extra seconds. He didn't have extra time. He forgot something on his report.
Yes, real quick, Council President, I just felt to thank a few people, And a quick update, Northwood Avenue between Raritan and Amsterdam Road, we finally had a meeting with the county, the Mayor Roselle, the councilman of Roselle. I want to thank the mayor. The mayor was not present, but he's been involved from the beginning. He did send his chief of staff, and we basically preliminary, but it looks good. It's going to be 100% once we get the MOU. The county will pave Northwood Avenue between Raritan and Amsterdam and at their cost. So that's a big win for both Roselle and Linden, and I want to mention that.
Thank
And also
you,
thank our engineering team for being there as well, and Lieutenant Traffic.
Thank you, Councilman. Mayor Armstead?
Yes, good evening, everyone. A few announcements. I'd like to announce that there will be a NARCAM training session on December 2nd, 2019, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., the 1100 block of Summit Terrace. That's the Wilson Pond building. Again, that's a NARCAM training session, December 2nd, 2019, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., 1100 block of Summit Terrace. That's the Wilson Pond building. Basically, it's our efforts to attempt to get a handle on the opioid epidemic that we're facing in this area. The Mayor's Youth Commission and the Linden FMBA Local 34 and 234 invite Linden families to attend Linden's 4th annual Holiday Breakfast with Santa at the John T. Gregorio Center at 330 Helen Street. That's Saturday, November 30th, 2019, from 8 a.m. until 11 a.m. Pre-registration is required. You can go to www.bit.ly/Santa-Linden to register. Again, that's www.bit.ly/Santa-Linden to register. All ticket holders will enter first. Non-ticket holders will be admitted while supplies last, and registration ends on November 24th, 2019. Kids will be allowed to eat free up to the age of 12. Age 13 and over, there'll be a $5 admission. Proof of Linden residency is required. For more information, you can call my office at 908-474-8493. I'd like to also announce that we're having a turkey giveaway at the JTG Center at 330 Helen Street on Friday, November 22nd from 12:30 p.m. until 2 p.m. We'll have free turkeys for the first 75 families in need, and proof of Linden residency is required. This turkey giveaway is being sponsored by myself and Capadaglia Properties, and we're proud to be hosting such an event. As Councilman Gretchen Hickey mentioned earlier, that Capadaglia is involved with a lot of good things in our community as well. I'd like to congratulate Barry Javik, Second Ward Councilman, on his reelection. Monique Cardwell to being elected the Third Ward Councilman-elect. Rashana Cosby for being reelected to Fifth Ward Councilperson, and Ralph Strano to being elected to Seventh Ward Councilperson. I'd also like to congratulate Garnett Blaine for his election. I've known Garnett for quite some time. I first met Garnett when he was involved with the Pop Warner football program. I just would ask that he would continue, as he always has been, courteous in his conduct. He's a person who listens, he can digest information, and I'm confident that he will do an excellent job as serving as the 8th Ward Councilperson. He's got some pretty big shoes to fill, and that of the former councilperson, Michelle Yamakaitis, and we will be here, Councilman, to give you all the guidance and direction that you need, and we just hope and pray that you take the time and digest the information, and we're very happy at the fact that we know that you're an independent thinker, and that's why we supported you from the very beginning. I'd like to take this time to congratulate Greg Martucci, Sinead Gilliam, and Carlos Rivas on being elected to the Board of Education. Of course, Greg Martucci was reelected, Sinead Gilliam was reelected, and Carlos Rivas is a newcomer. Looking forward to working with them as we continue to try to move our city forward and our Board of Education forward. I'd like to also congratulate Chief William Haskell, who has officially been sworn in as our fire chief now. We're looking forward to working with Billy Haskell. Again, I've known him for several years. He's the right man at the right time for this job, okay? Earlier today, we discussed low-income housing and our low-income housing responsibility. I just want to make everybody aware of the fact that, yes, we do have a number of developments that are occurring right now, and this city has met its Mount Laurel obligation, which we refer to as our low-income or moderate housing responsibility. I want to reassure the citizens of Linden that as much as we're doing developing in this town, that we are also looking at potential low-income housing that will probably be required as we continue to build out in this town. So I want everybody to know that, and as much as we have a plan to develop Linden and put high-end real estate in this town, that we are equally as committed to making sure that we meet our obligations for low-income housing, and we do have a plan, and when that plan is unfolded, you'll see we're doing this, it will be the same as everything else. We're going to do the best possible job that we can for the residents of our city. And the devil will be in the detail when we start announcing our plans to move that particular aspect of our housing forward. I also wanted to mention, I received a call earlier from Councilman Brown. One of his sons is not feeling well. He could not make it to the meeting. So we thank Councilman Brown for his service as a councilman. Also want to mention that yesterday we had our Veterans, our Hometown Heroes event, and let there be no mistake made here, Councilman Brown was the one who spearheaded this effort last year, and he followed through again this year. It's a great way to honor our veterans who gave their lives, many of them, and to see, so we could be here today. A lot of veterans were at the event yesterday who are still alive, but there are many who are no longer with us. Yesterday's event was particularly special to me as my best friend from high school and as a child, Charles James. He was also honored yesterday as a veteran. He was a Marine. He just passed this past summer, so you know, it was a special event for his family, and especially for me. We grew up as almost like brothers coming up in this town. I'd like to also say Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Councilman Blaine, I just want to correct you. This is my first night to correct you, okay? There's not just one fox. There's two of them, okay? Because both of them were in my backyard 2 nights ago. So everybody being aware, not just one fox, there's 2 of them. I don't know whether they're a couple, but we better catch them because, you know, there may be several foxes if we don't get a handle on this situation. So, but then again, Councilman Blaine, thank you for being a part of this, this governing body. And last but certainly not least, I just want people to understand
Mayor,
that.
your time is up.
Okay, I'll defer to my last minute at the end of the meeting, okay?
Okay, thank you. Okay, I also would like to thank Councilman Brown and the rest of the committee that worked on the event last night for the veterans. I want to especially thank Mrs. Alexis Zach, Anne Marie Venditto, Jessica Slavinsky, Dan from Alexis's office, the SID, and all the people that donated towards the event. It was special for me also last night. My mother-in-law came down, my father-in-law and my husband's grandfather were both honored as well. So it was a very special night for many families, and it was great to see something positive again happening in Linden. So many of the people there, it was like a reunion night for many of the residents, and it was nice to see what Linden was and can still be. Everybody just getting along and behaving properly. It was like a reunion, so it was very nice event, and I want to thank again everybody that was involved. And I just want to also mention many of the residents in the 5th and 8th Ward might be seeing line skates, scooters rather, parked in front of their houses. Elizabeth had passed an ordinance that allowed these scooters to be used around Elizabeth to help them get around to Kane and other venues in Elizabeth. Several had been parked in the 8th Ward, but we have decided with the police department, if one's parked in front of your house, please call the police department. They will notify Elizabeth. There's a GPS on these devices, and apparently they kick off once they go out a certain zone. So, you know, we saw several parked in the area tonight. I saw one parked on South Park Avenue. So the police will notify the company, and they will come pick them up. So please, again, if you see them, notify the Linden Police Department, and they will notify Elizabeth. Okay, we're going to move on to resolutions. Public comments will be permitted for those specific resolutions to be removed from the consent approval. Each member of the public shall be given up to 3 minutes to speak on resolutions that they requested to be removed from the agenda. If you request more than one resolution to be removed, regardless of the number, you will have a total of 5 minutes to speak on all. Please read the synopsis of the resolutions, which have been prepared by the city clerk's office. Each is informative and self-explanatory. However, if you wish to address a specific resolution, the council will entertain questions on it. Does anyone wish to remove a resolution?
Council President?
Yes. Okay.
Council President?
Yes.
I'd like to remove resolution, I scribbled all over it. I think it's 2019-409 for further consideration.
Okay.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Cosby?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yamakotis?
Yes. Okay, does anyone wish to remove any? Mr. Halloran?
Yes, 406, 407, 410, 412, 417, and 418.
Okay, anyone else? Mr. Herberg?
397.
Okay. 418. Okay, Mrs. Malik?
405, 406, 407, we're scratching 409.
Yes, it was removed.
412, 415, and 417.
Okay. Mr. Kaminsky? Okay, anybody else? Mr. Kazor?
18. 13.
Anything else? Okay, anyone else wish to remove any resolutions? Okay,
Do we do ours on discussion? Or do
during
we-
discussion. Okay,
Council
yes,
President, would you like me to
yes, can you
take
make
that?
a motion, please, on the
Okay.
remainder?
So I'm going to move for approval of resolutions 2019-393 through resolution 2019-418, with the exclusion of resolution 2019-397, 398, 399, 404, 406, 407, 410, 411, 412, 413, 415, 417, 418. Is that correct?
And 405,
And 405. The 404 was in there, too.
yes.
I request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes on everything except for 407.
Of course not.
Javik?
407 was pulled.
Oh, it was pulled? Okay, yes on everything.
No, 407 was not pulled. 409 was pulled.
407.
407 was,
No, I've been pulled by.
It was mine, it was pulled, trust me.
Oh, yes,
yes,
you're correct.
by the,
You're correct.
by the public.
Correct.
yes. Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed?
Yes.
Cosby?
voted no to 397 and 413, and yes to the others that weren't pulled.
Mr. Clerk, thank you, sir. Sorry. Was 411 pulled?
Yes.
For the
Yes.
public? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So I think I'm good. I think I'll just say yes to all in that case that aren't pulled yet.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Okay, Mr. Halloran. Please
Craig
state your
Hall-
name and again.
Craig Halloran, 120 Donaldson Place. Okay, if 407 was pulled, then I don't have anything to say about that.
No, it wasn't
No.
pulled. It was pulled for,
Okay.
Discussion.
I'm sorry. Let's start with 406. That involves cancellation of various capital appropriations, okay? That money's not spent. I take that's going into the next year's budget to reduce our taxes, okay? 407, we paid an outside attorney for a service. Why do we need to create a committee for violations of the personnel policy when 409 was pulled, I believe, by the council just before comments were brought up by the public? Did I get that right? I hope. Okay. And then 417 also involves personnel matters. I imagine that involves also the policy that was taken out by 409 being taken out of consideration. So why do we need an attorney for this? If we're not voting on 409, what do we need 417 for? Okay, 410, like I said, this probably goes back to my comment of transferring the money from 2019 appropriations to the 2020 budget to reduce our taxes, I hope. Okay, now, 418, and why do we want the state legislature to review the Open Public Records Act?
okay, and 412, Mr. Bo, Mr.
Okay, and 412, and what is planning services? I'm sorry.
Okay, Mr. Bodek, we'll start with you, 418.
Sure, there's been, when the law was drafted originally, there's been a lot of changes in technology and how things are done, and some of that needs to be looked at and reviewed, and possibly amendments to the law come out of it through, but it should be done in a orderly and fashion by creating a study commission for them to look at it.
Thank you.
Okay, 412, Mr. Pantina? This is that on-call planning services. Can you speak on this?
Yeah, 412 is for Paul Ricky Planning. The amount of redevelopment plans that we've had this year kind of was beyond what we had planned, so that extra 17.5 is cover his fees.
I'll take your answer. I'm not happy with it. Thank you.
Okay, don't you have any other questions, Mr. Halloran? Mrs. Zach, 406. Can you
sorry.
answer 406 and 410, please?
Yes, 406 is a resolution we try to do in November and December each year. There's various capital projects that have been closed, whether it be sewer capital or roads or actual equipment from various departments that have been purchased. What this resolution does is allow us to close out those accounts. Some of the items had been funded through a permanent financing. Others had been unfunded through bond anticipation notes. The project's closed, so we're closing it out. If we wanted to, we could use the funded portion as capital surplus in next year's budget as an anticipated revenue. That will be determined once the Finance Committee finishes its budget hearings with the various departments and puts the 2020 budget together. But you're correct, Mr. Halloran. If we wanted to, we could use this towards capital surplus in the 2020 budget.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Antonelli, number 407. Mr. Halloran asked why we have an attorney with the Personnel Department. Why do we need to create this investigation?
Sure. This resolution seeks to appoint an investigation committee, a municipal investigation committee, to investigate matters within the personnel department with regard to certain decisions that are being made, certain recommendations, certain audits. So like the two prior investigation committees, this would kind of do the same thing, would also give the committee subpoena power as well to subpoena testimony as well as documents.
Thank you.
Okay, and number 417, Mr. Antonelli?
Sure. 417 is unrelated to the resolution I just discussed. 417 is actually limited in scope. This attorney is being hired to represent 3 individuals who were served with a subpoena. It's a personnel matter. I'm not at liberty to discuss the substance of the subpoena, but that's what this resolution does. It approves counsel for three city employees.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Halloran. Okay, Mrs. Malik?
I'll go through all my comments first. On 397, what's wrong with our current system that we have? Are we retooling all the doors? On 398, why do we really need the service? I know Mrs. Hickey was talking about the schools. They need some more trees cut down, but why can't our Public Works Department handle that? On 399, we already have these body-worn camera systems, so I don't understand why this additional funding is needed. On 404, the resolution declaring certain items surplus. So what are these items? I don't know if that was covered yet. I think so, possibly. And on the Aviation Council, so on 405, what's really needed? What's happening here with the Special Aviation Council? I know a lot of issues are going on with the airport. I'd like to have that explained, why we need the special counsel. 407, the violations. I think Mr. Antonelli went through some of these, but what specifically are these violations? On 412, on-call, what do you actually mean by on-call service? And why do we really have that? On 415, what's being done to require all this? So you have a certificate of insurance and the amount to exceed $1 million, and also to have the execution of a hold harmless agreement. 417, I've got my answer.
Okay, Chief Hart, we'll start with you, 415. That's
not a
on
policeman.
East Baltimore Avenue. Yeah. Oh, that's,
Maybe you mean 399, he can answer
yes,
that.
399, Chief.
Yes, Ms. Malik, we've added some cameras to the program with the SLEOs officers in the schools. Our complement of police officers has gone up, so we had to add some cameras into our camera program here. Also, backdoor maintenance fees. That's what that extra money is for. It's extra cameras and also the maintenance and the ongoing 5-year contract for the cameras.
What does one body unit cost?
I'd be remiss to tell you I don't know off the top of my head, but these are not cheap items. Every officer is mandated by policy now in the county to everybody in uniform is mandated and at side jobs to have a camera on. So it's a great program, but it is a costly program also.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. 412, Mr. Pantino. That's again with...
Yeah, I responded to Mr. Halloran before on the increase. I think what you're asking is what is the on-call planning? So Mr. Ricky is the city planner, and he provides planning services for the planning and the zoning board. The account is set up and it's reimbursed through escrow fees. So the main contract comes out of escrow fees from the developers and site plan applications, subdivision applications. The 17.5 was increased because of, like I said, additional redevelopment plans that he had to draft.
So when there is some point of contention or people want something to be explained, that's what the on-call, that's when he's brought in to supply additional services?
Yes, he's brought in for planning board and zoning board reviews. So if there's 2 applications, 5 applications, 10 applications,
Fine.
he's got to provide a planning report, just like
Fine.
I provide an engineering
Got it.
report.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and Mr. Pantina, 415, that's that project with PSE&G, we're vacating that portion of East Baltimore Ave temporarily. Would you be able to respond to Ms. Malik on that?
That you have
I
all
don't
these
have any comment
requirements.
Railroad there.
on that. I don't know, it could be part of that project, but I'm not.
It is. I don't know what further information, they're working on the railroad tracks all through Linden, Roselle. Yes.
This is similar to what we did over on, in the 6th Ward with closing of the street for the Meridia project. They're asking for us to allow the closing of a portion of East Baltimore Avenue so that the PSE&G work can proceed at a quicker pace and without issues.
They're working on those high-powered lines right by the bridge there, so that's why they need a staging area.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Dan, 397?
That's security for the entire City Hall, and actually, Ms. Zach has had some better history on this than I do, so I think she could explain a little bit better.
Yes, actually, Mrs. Zach, that's what we discussed.
What's wrong with our current system?
Sure. The police department had done an upgrade for their security system over the last several years, and in the budget over the last 2 years, the Buildings and Grounds budget had security enhancements. We had a study done about 1.5 years ago for the entire building and also the court system for security enhancements that were recommended and strongly recommended by the police department. So the police department is going to be the main primary department that's going to oversee the implementation for the security enhancements. They have met with every single department head. They've assured us that all the key cards can be coded properly so that, you know, if I had to come back for a committee meeting, I'd be allowed to be able to get back into the building. It tracks an accountability of every employee as well as the elected officials. They'll also have this security clearance, and it's going to be very similar to what the police department already has in their headquarters. And there will be some modifications that have to be made in some public offices, because obviously we know City Hall is a very public place, so we don't want, you know, we want to be able to make sure everyone is safe. So there'll be some renovations that'll be made in, say, the city clerk's office, so that a vestibule will be built. They'll be able to be, you know, the public can come in, but at least there will be security enhancements. So that's what this resolution allows us to do.
Fine, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Dan, 398, that's with the tree service?
Yeah, this is in addition to our own tree unit. This is, there are a lot of tree issues we have in the city, and I lobbied the city council, and they appropriated the money to help out our tree crews.
Okay. Mrs. Zach, 404, Mrs. Malik was asking which items, if you possibly,
Yeah, these should actually be delineated. When we're putting these statements in here saying, you know, surplus items, I know it takes maybe an extra line to do so, but
The Resolution 404, this
404.
just declares certain equipment for
Such as?
surplus. The 2016 Komatsu crawler dozer and a Motorola radio repeater that was at the Linden Roselle Sewerage Authority. These are items that no longer the city feels a need for, so they're declaring it surplus. We are going to be working in the future to use that dozer and trade it in for a different type of equipment that the city does need. I believe it's a front-end loader.
and when that money, we do get money back from the sale of these items, where does that money go to?
We put it in a sale of municipal assets. It's an account that we have set up.
Fine.
okay. Mr. Antonelli, number 405 on the Special Aviation Council?
Yeah, this resolution, Ms. Malik, if approved, would increase the appropriation to this firm. As you're aware, we do have Aviation Council. We have had ongoing compliance issues with the FAA. I'm happy to report that we are hopefully through our last round of compliance issues. In addition to that, this appropriation also includes some actions being taken by the city with regard to a tenant at the airport. So this appropriation will cover those fees. It's an appropriation that hasn't been expended yet. It's just an amount not to exceed. Obviously, the council would have to submit bills for services before they're paid.
So when you say compliance issues with the FAA, it's
Correct.
that the airport is not complying things? maybe
Councilman Strano would know the designation, but it's the federal arm of the government that oversees airports.
I'm quite familiar with that, okay? But what's not being compliant?
Well, I'll give you an example. A complaint's made over a crack in the runway that is larger than 1 inch. Perhaps certain lights are not working. So we have one individual who had started this complaint process has made several complaints to the FAA. It's caused the city to not only expend resources with council, but it's taken a lot of time and effort by both the mayor. Ms. Zach had to pull records dating back 25 years ago. There were certain allegations made with regard to certain bonds that were issued to build out the airport. So there was a lot of issues that we had to address. But hopefully, like I said, we're coming to the end.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Number 407, Mr. Antonelli, again, on the investigative committee.
So what are, I asked, what are these violations?
Sure. I'll just read from the resolution, which says, so when a municipal investigation committee is formed, you have to set forth the scope of the investigation. And in this particular resolution, it's claimed that information received and compiled that a number of violations to the city's own personnel policy, the Civil Service Commission rules, and other alleged violations, including insurance fraud, workplace bullying, workplace harassment, theft of time, changing attendance records, improper FMLA records, and inconsistent enforcement of the written discipline policy have taken place and continue. So I guess that would be the rather broad scope of the investigation.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Mallon. Okay, Mr. Herberg.
Hans Herberg, 51 Westover Road. I'll start with 397. I know a lot of people are talking about that too, but also to see who's going in and out of the door. Would it be up to the police department to see who's coming in and out of the building? Because I mean, they're 24/7. They're mainly there than anybody.
Continue on with your, what is the rest of your questions?
Correct. Yeah, it's just wanting to see who's, overseeing, like daily, like, is the agency going to watch? Because there's no way someone, city employees are going to see it, only the police department, and I'm sure just want to make sure someone oversees it, It's better being safer than sorry.
Okay, 407,
And the other one was let me see.
407 you pulled?
407, yep. Last time this was brought up months ago, like in August or July. I've keep seeing a lot of municipal council investigative committee. I mean, is there already one, or like the reason why I ask though? I mean, I see it says investigation violation of city's own personnel policy, but I know we were discussing it from spring and the summer, and now it's back in the square one, so I just want to know about that, though. I mean, was there originally one at first? I mean, I think that's fair to ask.
411?
411. Also, too, I know in August or September, Peter Madlaws, I think he was a developer, if I'm not mistaken, but I think Mr. Antonelli, when you were away, I think, what's her name? Your assistant, she showed up. I don't know if it was a conflict or interest or not. You know, if somebody knows someone, I figure I'd ask.
418?
418, give me 1 second. Open Oprah, so to create a study commission. My question is this, who's going to be overseeing it? Because I've seen, I mean, I don't know if Mr. Roman's talked about it or somebody else. I know there's one person who oversees all the documents. So my question is like, is there going to be one person seeing it? Is there going to be multiple people? I mean, I think that's fair to look into.
Okay, we'll start with 418, Mr. Bodak.
Sure. This is a request for the state legislature to create a study commission to look at the current Oprah law. On the commission would be members of the legislature, representatives of the Government Records Council, state government, the Municipal Clerks Association, the media, and members of the public to see if they could make some of the aspects of it more workable for everybody.
All right, Mr. Antonelli on 407. Mr. Herberg was asking if there were other municipal investigative committees.
There were 2 prior investigation committees. One has been completed. The other one is pending.
Okay. 411, Mayor Armstead. That's on the appointment to the Housing Authority.
Yes, Peter Matlos has been asked to be on the Housing Authority. Recommendation came from Ann Ferguson, and it's pretty normal procedure.
All right. Chief Hart is not, I'm going to ask him on the com.
He's with Mr. Armando.
Yes. He was, Chief?
How's it going, Chief?
397, Mr. Herberg was asking about the security system, if the police will be able to monitor some of the stuff in City Hall.
Excuse me, it's accountability also. It's a swipe system. We're really behind the times rather than having keys. It's not really Big Brother watching, but there's going to be a accountability, and it will log in when you're coming in and out of the building. We have a lot of upgrades within the courtroom and also the building, which we want to move forward with. We're really behind the times on a lot of things. This will help with streamlining things and getting rid of keys.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Kazar? Okay. Mr. Kaminsky? Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, can we have a motion on the rest of these resolutions?
Council President,
Yes,
would you like me to make that motion?
yes.
Once we make the
Make a re-
motion and there's a second, then there can be discussion?
Then it's
Okay.
discussion.
All right. So here we go. I'm going to move for approval of resolutions 397, 398, 399, 404, 405, 406, 407, 410, 411, 412, 413, 415, 417, and 418, and request a second.
Second.
Discussion? Councilman
yes.
Roman, you had a,
Thank you, Council President. I'm just going to roll through as fast as I can. 403, Shade Tree, 9400. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The DPW and Rich's Tree Service has been very busy taking out dead trees throughout this city. If I remember correctly, I'm paraphrasing, but I think Director Dan had said something around like 250 trees have gone out, while only 100, 110, or 20 have been replaced. That means we're at a net loss of trees. I think trees are very important. So I implore this council next year to put aside money flat out for trees. And with the ash borer beetle or whatever it is, we're going to lose a lot of older trees in the next coming years. So we need to be prepared for that, and we should start thinking about that now. Thank you for that. 411, respectfully, I'm reserving my own judgment to vote no. 412, Ricky Planning for $17,500. I know Paul Ricky works very hard, but this is just specifically for Paul Ricky, not for his brother Ron Ricky? Anyone? And this is updated work, like this is an extended more work that he's doing?
Mr.
I can ask? Oh,
He's
I
got
thought
a
he was,
question.
I thought he was on.
He's asking this regarding Ricky Planning. Is this
Yeah.
only for Mr. Paul Ricky?
Paul Ricky's the only person in that Ricky Planning, is what my question, let me rephrase.
As far as I understand,
Yeah.
right, Paul
So-
Ricky is a planner. This is his business.
Yeah.
He's the sole proprietor of the business.
Thank you, counsel. And if we do, I think I'm okay with it, because I know Paul and I know how hard he works, but if we can I just get a copy of like his billed hours? That way I'm okay with it in the future. Like, I assume that we're expanding this to compensate him for extra work.
I don't believe it was said, but it was my understanding that the increase in the appropriation was also as a result of his work on the master plan reexamination.
Thank you. That's fine. What else? Mm, 411, 413. I just need to talk about 416. Was it passed or pulled? Thank you. And 417, William Straza. I heard why we're hiring this person. I know we can't discuss it, but when were the services for this rendered specifically?
Services were rendered over the last probably 60 days or so.
All right, so let's say August, September, October. And you had said in caucus that this is an employee of Union as well, or he's contracted with Union as a public defender somehow?
Mr. Straza, Councilman, is the chief public defender in Union.
Thank you, sir.
And I also indicated I know him very well.
Good. And he wasn't on our RFQ list?
He was not, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, did you ever have any dealings with this lawyer? Has he ever represented you?
I don't know what it has if that has to do anything with the ordinance here, or the resolution.
No, it could show a conflict, and that has to do with the ordinance. So has he ever
I'm not
represented
voting
you?
on any ordinance.
I'm sorry, the
A
resolution.
resolution, I'm not voting on a resolution.
I understand. Has he ever represented you recently in 2019?
If I may, Council President, I don't think that's an appropriate question for the resolution that's before this body, which is whether or not to hire Mr. Straza to represent the 3 individuals that were served with a grand jury subpoena.
Thank you, Council President.
Anybody else? Councilwoman Cosby?
I would stand up so you could hear me better because my voice is a little low, but I don't want to get in trouble. I want to read the resolution, and this is the one that I've been begging the council for support on, and I was told by the council president to make sure we got it on, and it was a resolution. It was done properly. It was sent to legal. They edited it. They sent it back, and you all don't get the full, resolution. You just get a synopsis. For a number of years, I have been saying, and it's been falling upon deaf ears for the most part, that we have issues in our personnel practices as far as following our own policies. The personnel policy is updated, pretty frequently. It was on for tonight, and then I'm guessing someone from the committee wanted to add some other stuff. I believe it was social media, if I'm not mistaken. So it was removed so that we can have further consideration. My concern is that we are violating a number of our own policies. We are also violating NJSA 40A:9-22.5 and other violations, which include fraud, insurance fraud specifically, workplace bullying, workplace harassment, theft of time, changing of attendance records, improper FMLA records, and inconsistent enforcement of the written discipline policy, in addition to our failure to properly vet or properly secure information, credentials, and such before someone is allowed to collect their first paycheck. Without divulging everything in my request to do the investigation, which was not done in the previous investigations committees, I just have to say that the one was specific, but there was a range of things that they were looking at, and that had no problem. I didn't vote for it, I thought it was a witch hunt, but at the end of the day, when you want to move it up and you want to get someone to do a thorough investigation, which we had asked for in the first place, to send it to other people who are really investigating specific things such as that, then I supported that because it was the right thing to do. Nobody's ever going to say Rashawn is not in support of transparency and honest government, right? Because I am. This committee is determined that it's appropriate. It's going to, city council, if we approve it, it's going to determine that it's appropriate for the municipal committee investigations, right? And on the committee, according to the resolution, it would be myself, Councilman Armando Medina, and Councilman Muhammad. Now, when I asked for people to be on the committee, my request was that it was no one who served on the personnel committee in the last 2 or 3 years, and no one who had a relative or close friend. So my aunt does work for dispatch. However, she took a test to get her job. I did not vote for her to get her job. So I just think that that doesn't even count anyway. So I feel I'm qualified to sit on the committee. Councilman Medina is objective, and as you can see, he and I agree to disagree, and it's not a big argument or whatever. It is what it is, so we have to be objective. It's scary to say, but Councilman Muhammad would probably be more objective than most because he doesn't really have any friends or close family members who work for the city. So that's the reason why it was drafted this way. I'm asking for the council to support this. And it's not a witch hunt. I'm not going after any individual. I don't want to get a Oprah request at my job tomorrow. I don't want to get another tort complaint, right? So I've been in, everybody wants to, and I'm so glad Peter's not here. I just want you to, I'm so glad he's not here. To say that it's the way I treat people. I treat people fairly. I treat them how I want to be treated as well. So I'm upfront with them, right? And I think that we should do a thorough investigation and find out why, and I think I said it publicly before, why someone has a job in the city of Linden and their application was dated 23 days after they started work. That's what we need to be investigating, things like that, right? We want to investigate how you have someone deemed ineligible 3 times and still had a job in the position they were deemed ineligible for, If somebody puts in an application and their education is blank, and you're required to have a high school diploma, but it's blank, how do you get a job? And then don't prove that you have a high school diploma or the equivalency. Those are the things that we need to investigate. We also need to investigate how high-paid employees are out sick, can't come to work, but they don't show up on an FMLA report, you see? I watch a lot of things and I have a really good memory. So it's time that we really seriously consider doing an investigation. It's nothing personal, it's all about the business, right? This is what we need to be doing the city's business. Why are people leaving the city? Why are they leaving? Why are they quitting? Why are they resigning? Right? Is it something in our personnel policy? Is it something we need to do better, or do differently? Those are things that we need to be looking at. So I'm just asking. I don't want anybody to argue back with me. I'm not trying to be negative. I just want people to just vote for it, yes or no. It's not like I haven't said this for months on end. I appreciate that it was drafted, finally. And we'll see. Watch how the members vote, period. That's all I have to say.
Councilman Muhammad?
Thank the Honorable Councilwoman for her kind and truthful remarks. I respectfully decline to be on such a committee because I don't think it's needed. I think the problem in government today is we have all kinds of committees. The Personnel Committee is sufficient, and I would urge the Councilwoman in her nobility and honorable status to bring to the attention of this body or the Personnel Committee any violations may find in personnel matters. I just don't see the need for that. And any other investigatory committees I served on, certainly was for the purpose of investigating and never to engage in a witch hunt. That went out with the Salem witch trial. And I'm not for wasting government time or money. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hickey.
Again, I'm sorry I misbehaved before and misspoke, but I guess because of the topic of this resolution, I could say a few things. I do have the same concerns as Councilwoman Cosby, considering the fact that I've had several residents, well, really two specifically, over the years that have been Linden residents their whole lives. One's family has worked in the city, in the same department his whole life, and somehow these individuals from the 10th Ward never come up to get a job, whether it be in, well, usually DPW. And I find it really unfortunate because, as Councilwoman Cosby has said, there has been many unqualified people that have been hired who don't have maybe their high school diploma, and I'm not judging by any means, or a driver's license, or a good history. So these are problems that we do need to attack because it's not fair anymore. And of course, we are going to have the same individuals on this dais right now who are going to, the same exact vote as usual. Just like a circumstance, and I'm not going to bring up her name, as we had. I've had individuals in my ward who have approached me, and because they haven't done a certain job for an individual council person, they were, that they weren't supposed to do because it wasn't right. But this individual happens to own a business and was closing on a house. And on Monday morning, she had a letter on her desk that she had to be transferred.
Antonelli?
These things that go on, we do need transparency.
You were asked earlier regarding this?
Huh? I didn't say any names, I'm just setting examples
Antonelli, can
without
we have an
names.
opinion on this, please?
Council President, you're not mentioning any names, Councilwoman, but you're clearly talking about the one individual.
Well, that's why we
At-
have this
at question.
resolution up,
So, again,
Mr. Antonelli, because the concern is there
Council
from...
President, you could call the councilwoman out of order, and she needs to cease her comments.
Councilwoman.
But I
and
didn't say anything, I didn't mention any names.
That,
I'm speaking of examples as Councilwoman Cosby did.
Councilwoman.
And this is why everyone's leaving Linden, everyone. It's very, very sad. I've nothing to gain from any of this. Nothing. Nobody pays for the roof over my house. Everyone, many up here, they have deep pockets. I don't.
Councilwoman Ormond.
I just have to make the comment that sometimes when the shoe is on the other foot, we cry foul. My first year as a council person, we had 10 seasonal employee positions available. And collectively as a governing body, we sat down, hey, let's be fair. Let's make sure each council person gets to find somebody in their ward to give a little 6-month seasonal job to. We all collectively agreed upon that the day that the chairperson of personnel was not in. Following day, everything changed. Boom, people got positions, and some of those people had only lived in Linden for 30 days. Where's the justice in that? So when we sit ready to cry foul as to what we're doing now, let's go back 8 years and let's see some of the nonsense that went on back then, because I was just totally floored. Now, the next thing, we talk about the word fair and objective. Well, I find it very difficult to think that that committee is going to be fair. We know that the person that heads the personnel department is, how can I put it, always subject to a contentious conversation. I don't want to be on that committee because I have a different type of relationship with the personnel director. Our children are involved. So I would never, ever, ever want to be part of it. Not that I can't be objective, because the people would find everything not to crucify me, but to destroy my child, and I'm never going to let that happen. Because, yeah, they would. But the bottom line is, we cannot be objective, because if you're going to be on that committee, you have to be able to tell me that you've never, ever had a fight with the woman. You have to be able to tell me that you never were nasty to the woman. You have to tell me that you never ever accused her husband of anything. We have this history between the people that want to be on this committee and the person that's in charge of our personnel department. And I, for one, am going to vote no just because of that. You gotta be, you can't be, contentious with the person that you want to investigate, because you lose credibility in my book. You lose credibility. That's all I want to say.
The council president said I could speak. Let me just be clear. I'm not investigating an individual, so we're clear, okay? You're talking about the lady who called the cops on me twice? That lady, right? Her husband told me to suck his balls, and then he got promoted? Is that who you're talking about? I'm not looking to investigate
exactly what
an
I'm talking about.
individual. We are investigating the failure to follow our policies. Now, here's the thing. Be clear. I don't talk to this person. I talk to Alan Roth, and I talk to Joe Bodek. Because this person, if I look at her or look in her direction, she's going to file a complaint because she wants to get a lawsuit.
Councilwoman.
So be clear. I'm very objective. I know how to separate business and my home life and personal life. And I've exhibited that here in the past 9 years, right? I have done that. I've been attacked here, outside. I'm not jumping up and down filing complaints. I put my big girl panties on and I sit here and I do my job. And that's what I want us to do as a governing body. If Mr. Muhammad doesn't want to be on a committee, then I would offer it to Mr. Blank, because guess what? He just told you he's objective, he's not bought by anybody, and this is an opportunity for him to see how the city works and how he can be, contribute as a new member of the governing body. But if it goes down, be clear, if it is voted down tonight, that's going to just show you what the commitment to not only the workforce, but the members of the public. Because a happy employee is a happy customer, right? And if you don't have happy employees, then we get shoddy service at the end of the day. And that's all. I'm not investigating any individual. And I'm insulted that you would think I would go after any one person. It's the policy that I'm actually trying to fix.
Excuse me, we do not speak from the public.
Council President?
I will call you out of order.
Yeah.
You have to approach the dais at the public comment section, sir.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to comment on this. I'm not the personnel expert. It's one of those things I'm slowly learning. I've learned a lot in my 2 years on council. A lot about the landfill. I know a lot about engineering, things I'm good at, accidents and traffic and stuff like that. But I don't know much about personnel, so I wouldn't offer myself to serve on this committee. However, if it appeases the council, because I have concerns. We've all heard them. The council has had these discussions, or let's generalize that, has had discussions on personnel issues that are concerning, and people that are going to vote no have agreed that there are concerning issues. This is really simple. It does the same thing that the council has done for the last couple months, which is allows them to ask questions in a session between three, objective people. I would like to suggest that we turn it over to Mr. Blaine, who clearly seems very objective and honorable man. And so we can just change the resolution right now and just take out Mr. Muhammad, who said he doesn't want to serve, and put in Mr. Blaine, and then let them do, what they got to do. It's oversaw by our city attorneys. You got 3 council people on there that are objective, and let's see if they can help fix our personnel policy and help fix other issues going on in the city, like the application thing and other things that are just not supposed to be happening. So, thank you, Council President.
Councilman Blaine?
I do appreciate and it's an honor to be mentioned, but I would tell you my expertise is in finance. I really don't have expertise in personnel issues. I'm very new and I'm getting to learn the process. And the one thing that I need everyone to understand is that there is a process. And so before I make a judgment call, I have to make sure that we all understand and are following the procedures and the process. And until that point, I won't be making a decision, and I don't want to be on no committee that I don't understand.
Any other?
If I may. There was a committee of just 2 people the last time. So if we just eliminate Councilman Muhammad from Resolution 407, we can move forward with Councilman Medina and Councilwoman Cosby, because I remember the last committee only had 2 people. The one that's currently still pending, if that's at all possible.
Okay, Councilwoman Ormond?
I'm just going to still say that there's a fine line between investigating policies and the one who is in charge of those policies coming into fruition. It stinks. I mean, like I said, yes, you want to investigate the policies, but ultimately, who's the person that signs off on everything? We do. No. Before it gets to us, who signs off on it? The committee. Oh, let's not be cute. But it comes through that department head, and like I said, there's a fine line. There's a real fine line, and we cannot blur that line. And I'm just sorry. I just don't.
Ms. Vlasic, you're out of order. Yeah, here we go.
I mean, I'm entitled to how I feel, and I just don't trust, not you, but I just don't trust the process. Okay? Step back from the committee.
No.
Does any other council members wish
'Cause
to
I don't-
speak? Mayor, do you? No? Okay.
Oh, I'll be on the committee. I'd be happy to be.
No.
Councilman, I'd like to have a moment to speak. Councilman Mohammed, you're wrong. If this committee goes through, there will be another Salem witch hunt here, okay? If you read the body of this resolution, it's very open-ended. When Councilwoman Cosby was chairwoman of the committee, talk about disheartened employees. There were more tort claims filed with the city while she was chairwoman. So I will not support this due to the fact that we have asked her to come to the, send an email requesting to come to the person. I see she's shaking her head no. And these would be discussed, her concerns. So rather than do things through the proper channels, through the Personnel Committee, she wants to grandstand and have political theater here. And sorry, I cannot support that. So, and as far as the other investigative committees, they were very clear and specific of what were being investigated. Like I said, this will be a total witch hunt. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor.
And I have a
Council
comment.
President, Council President, may I?
Mayor Armstead?
Yes. We've had 2 investigative committees this year, okay? One was investigating whether or not an individual was coming to work. We hired an outside auditor, non-associated with anybody in this governing body, and they did the research, and we come up with some tangible results that indicated that he was not at work and that the city had, in fact, been defrauded out of $148,000. We formed another investigative committee when Councilman Roman in the 6th Ward illegally entered the Department of DPW, and it's fact, he...
Ms. Vlasic, you're out of order. This is the second time I'm calling you out. This will be enforced tonight. You will be removed.
The premises was locked. The premises was locked, so we formed an investigative committee as to whether or not he entered the premises legally, and the answer to that is being formulated by the committee as we speak right now. So as this other investigative committee that Councilman Cosby wants to form, it's very vague, and I believe it's, in fact, vindictive because she has some issues with some of the individuals who work in personnel. She has some issues with the fact of the matter is that the process of hiring is no longer in her hands, because I do recall that we had a meeting last year and we discussed going around the table to hire all of the individuals who are going to be seasonal and anybody else who are going to go around the table, and we were all in favor of it, and the following day you got to the meeting and all of a sudden it changed and you picked all the names. So let's not sit here and play games and try to convince the public that you're some saint that just landed here on the council, on the dais, and want to do everything right now. Okay?
If I can, please. Check my record. That's all I need to say. Check my record, and he's not being honest. Here's the thing. How do you make anything happen without people voting for it, right? So the councilwoman had me go through all the drama of getting the resolution drawn up, knowing full well that I wasn't going to give the specifics, but what I will do, okay, I'll give you specifics. There's a woman who was hired in May. Her name is Stacy.
Councilwoman.
What?
You're out of order.
You want to know?
You are out of order.
Why am I out of order? People are hired who did not provide education on their application, and they were hired. They did not
Councilwoman.
provide proof of education.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
they were
on the floor.
hired.
I'm calling for a vote. Mr. Clerk, please.
Yep.
Mr. Diego Acevedo, whatever you're out of order. I'm calling, this is your first time, I'm calling you out, second time you're out. Zero tolerance here tonight.
Can I go to the state for this if y'all don't want to do it? What's my recourse?
Mr. Clerk, I called for a roll.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes on everything, no on 407.
Javik?
Yes on everything, no on 407.
Mohammed?
Yes on everything, absolutely no on 407.
Mrs. Crosby? Ms. Crosby?
So I'm voting no for 410. I'm abstaining on 412 and 417. And I'm going to the State of New Jersey Department of Consumer Affairs for every single council member who votes no for this. And I'm giving them specifics. Yes to the rest.
Roman?
Councilwoman, the DCA is very good. I will tell you that. I will vote no for 411, respectfully. No for 47. I'll abstain from 417. Not that my council told me to. And I'm going to vote yes to the rest. Thank you, Councilman.
Strano?
Yes on all, and I will not be threatened by anybody in this room or on this council, and no on 407.
Blaine?
Yes on everything.
Officer, will you please come in? I have individuals on this side of the room that are constantly calling this meeting out of order. Mr. Diego Acevedo, this is the second time I'm calling him out. Sir, you're out of order. Well, please continue with the roll, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Blaine, you voted
Yes on everything, abstaining on.
Councilwoman, you're out of order.
How many times is that?
Enough. Again.
I got dismissed, you guys. Thank you. I feel better tomorrow. Chill. We did all of that. Months of all that. This is taking you might want to vote for protecting individuals.
Councilwoman,
What?
Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Blaine.
Mr. Blaine is,
Okay.
vote.
For the third time.
Thank you, Mr. Blaine.
Yes on everything except abstaining on 407, 411, and 412.
Medina?
No on 411, abstaining on 417, yes to the rest.
Hickey? She leave too? Did Mrs. Hickey?
She left the dais without notifying.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
No.
No to all?
No, no to 407, yes to the rest.
That would make things interesting.
There's
She missed the vote.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 no to 407, and 1, 2 yes to 407 and 1 abstention. And 1 absent from the room.
Okay.
Motion for 407 is defeated.
Okay, ordinances on first reading. Ordinance 6353.
An ordinance authorizing the sale of Lot 11, Block 537, known as 1610 Clinton Street, on the current tax atlas of the City of Linden in the County of Union, not needed for public use, by auction and establishing a minimum bid price of $90,000 and setting December 27, 2019 at 11 a.m. as the date and time for said public auction in the council conference room in the City of Linden.
Okay, can we have a motion for introduction on ordinance 6353?
Yes, Council President, I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance 6353 and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Mr. Javik?
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed? Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Strano?
Yes.
Mr. Blaine?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yamakaitis?
Yes. Ordinance 6354.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7 Traffic of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Adopting and Enacting the Revised General Ordinances of the City of Linden, 1999," passed November 23rd, 1999, and approved November 24th, 1999, and as amended and supplemented. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Linden that Section 1, Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 7-15, parking by permit only in designated residential areas shall be in the same as hereby amended as follows. Delete Section 7-15.1 parking decals in its entirety and add new Section 7-15.1 parking decals.
Okay, can I have a motion on ordinance 6354?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance 6354 and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yamakaitis?
Yes. Ordinance 6355.
An ordinance authorizing the sale of a portion of Lot 13, Block 580, known as 1601 West Edgar Road on the current tax atlas of the City of Linden in the County of Union, and not needed for public use, to the New Jersey Department of Transportation for $10,000.
Can we have a motion on this, please?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance 6355 and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yamakaitis?
Yes. Ordinance 6356.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7 Traffic of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Adopting and Enacting the Revised General Ordinances of the City of Linden, 1999," passed November 23rd, 1999, and approved November 24th, 1999, and as amended and supplemented. Be it ordained by the Council of the City of Linden that Section 1, Chapter 7 Traffic shall be in the same as hereby amended as follows. 7-33 Handicap Parking Regulations, 7-33.1A Handicap Parking on Street, add 817 Lincoln Street, 1 space, and delete 622 East Curtis Street, 1 space.
Can we have a motion, please?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance 6356 and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Aye.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yamakaitis?
Yes. Okay, ordinance 6356.
Bond ordinance, amending bond ordinance number 59-10, finally adopted by the City Council of the City of Linden, New Jersey on March 17, 2015, as amended.
Okay, can we have a motion, please?
I'll move ordinance number 6357 for introduction and request a second.
Second.
Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes, ordinance 6357.
6358.
58, rather, sorry.
An ordinance amending Chapter 2-7 entitled
Councilwoman Cosby, you're out of order. You're sitting there in the public, you're disrupting the meeting again. Officers, Mr. Antonelli, please have her removed. You're disrupting a public meeting here, ma'am. Please continue, Ms. Clerk.
An ordinance
Sad.
amending Chapter 2-7
This is sad.
entitled Administrative Organization by the City Council of the City of Linden.
Can we have a motion, please?
Council President, I'd like to introduce ordinance number 6358 for introduction and ask for a second.
Second.
Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
No.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Ordinance 6359.
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7 Traffic of an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance Adopting and Enacting the Revised General Ordinances of the City of Linden, 1999, passed November 23rd, 1999, and approved November 24th, 1999, and as amended and supplemented. Section 1, that Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 7-10, parking prohibited at all times on certain streets shall be, and the same is hereby amended as follows. Add Washington Avenue West Side from a point approximately 232 feet north of the north curb line of East Curtis Street, continuing 16 feet in a northerly direction. Southwood Avenue East Side from south curb line of East Egger Road for a distance of 130 feet to the south.
Can we have a motion, please?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance 6359 and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Ordinance 6360.
An ordinance amending Chapter 4, Section 37, entitled Towing of Unauthorized Vehicles from Private or Quasi-Private Property within the City of Linden by the City Council of the City of Linden.
Can we have a motion, please?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to introduce ordinance 6360 and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Okay, comments from members of the...
I have one additional ordinance that I
Okay.
need to read. This ordinance number will be 6361. This is an ordinance adding a new section in Chapter 4 titled Mayor, creating the Division of Information Technology and eliminating the Division of Computers.
Okay, can we have a motion, please?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to introduce 63-61 and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Yemakaitis?
Yes. Comments from members of the public in attendance on city business only. No personal, political, or derogatory comments, not to exceed 5 minutes. Is there anyone that did not get a chance to sign the sheets to speak? Okay. Okay, anybody else? Okay, Ms. Vlasic, please come up. Please state your name and address again for the record.
Sure. Kelly Vlasic, 30 West Curtis Street. I want to start off tonight by talking about employment here in the city of Linden, from elected officials to city hall people, so on and so forth. Back in July, Tracy Birch was abruptly and involuntarily transferred from the Construction Code Office to the Recreation Department by Mayor Armstead. and went down in history as possibly Linden's first city employee to be transferred, albeit temporarily, without the approval of both the City Personnel Committee and the City Council. Since July, she has been told many things in regards to why she was transferred, except for the truth, which is quite frankly that a few days after refusing to do an illegal request for a council person in regards to a property that the said council person was a listing realtor for, she was coincidentally transferred. I'm sure if she had known in advance that she would be transferred for not fulfilling this request, her response would not have changed. Because like many city employees, she will not compromise her own integrity just so a council person, or any other person for that matter, could reap financial gains by illegal means. I know that she has since been advised by your council that in accordance with civil service law, that this temporary transfer could not last for more than 90 days. But as you have been advised by previous emails, this time frame has long expired. This morning, she arrived at work to find that Mr. Roth emailed her a rice notice to her city email that was sent after she clocked out her normal workday this past Friday. She has been advised by her own counsel that the city must serve a rice notice either in person or by mail, not email, within 48 hours prior to the start of the meeting where such a discussion is scheduled to take place. And the fact that Mr. Roth discussed her employment with the city with her comments that he made surely violates New Jersey's sunshine law. This evening, this council railed to formally rescind Mayor Armstead's temporary transfer to the Recreation Department and reassign her back to Construction Code Office, especially since she has yet to receive any correspondence in regards to the whistleblower, the conscientious employee, and personnel policy violations that were previously brought to the city's attention, where decisions have yet to be rendered. I have one word for this city and for the council, and it's just not in regards to Tracy, it's in regards to a lot of the citizens here. Bullying. You guys use that word a lot. What you fail to realize is that some of you sitting up there and some of you who are clipping your nails while there is a city council meeting going on are the ones who are guilty of it, and you should be ashamed of yourselves.
Anthony Mislon. John Kazor. Please state your name and address for the record.
Johnny Means, 23 West Munsell Avenue. Linden needed way more than just a moment of silence. My comments tonight were brought to you by Two Tony's Pizza and Italian Kitchen, 440 Northwood Ave. Use code Johnny Linden from now until Friday. Receive 10% off your order. Thank you.
Ed Kaminsky.
Good evening. I'd like to first give
Please
my
state your name and address.
I'm sorry, Ed Kaminsky, Maple Avenue. I'd like to give my heartfelt gratitude to the veterans, especially on this Veterans Day yesterday. To all you that have served, thank you very much for your service. I'd like to start out with the good first. Always try to find, the silver lining. I guess some of the good, I missed last month's meeting, unfortunately, I was out of town, but the Polish Day and September to Remember events were wonderful. Unfortunately, I missed the Latin Day celebration. Looking forward to attending that one next year. I guess one bit of constructive criticism, would like to see more Linden vendors. Maybe that would come with a little bit more trust in the government, but definitely would like to see more Linden businesses represented there. Also, good many people doing good work and doing good to others. Definitely see that on social media and on the streets here still too. So kudos to them. And another big positive, although at this point don't know how much has to do with you all on the dais, just want to point out that finally after 17 years there's some activity, positive activity going on the corner of Price and Wood Avenue, which has been a much maligned area and continues to be. So looking forward to the improvements there. To go back to Veterans Day, it just sad that there was, no word on the Veterans Day celebration, or very little. It seems to be a black hole surrounded, to me, by a very thick wall, need-to-know basis. Those only on the in were invited in. It's a shame because I would think that this would be one thing that's it's not even partisan. I mean, I think everyone's on the same party up there. You would think that there would just be some cooperation and sense across whatever aisle you're on that there could be an agreement to celebrate the veterans and what they've done for this country. So that's very disappointing because of the obvious reasons. I had a lot of veterans and their families reach out to me, and veterans themselves too, that said that, hey, I know I was honored last year, but it's like a brotherhood, sisterhood. I would like to honor my brothers and sisters who are being honored this year. What can you tell me about it? Unfortunately, the answer was not much. So hopefully the city does better. I know there's big obstacles out there and some issues, and hopefully, a lot of that goes away on 12/31, and we move forward in a more inclusive type environment, although the event last year, when we finally got it off the ground, was great, but still, an honorable man like the council president at the time who served was not even invited. So just, something, the pettiness like that just really gets me on an event and an occasion where you think everybody would be and could get above it. So I'll leave it there. Not surprised, we're talking about the committees. Not surprised what happened with in the Senator Scutari situation, him filing suit against Linden. It was easy to see many months ago, and I again warned in this very forum a few months back that we would be sued, and this is putting us at risk. So now we see what happens. That'll play itself out. It will make itself through the courts and, like I said, resolve itself. We'll ultimately see who will be wrong, who's wrong, and who will pay. Besides the taxpayers, we're beginning to pay that already. That said, you all can do something right now that doesn't need for the resolution of the court case to happen, and that is hold the supervision responsible. I don't want to see anybody fired. It hurts me when I do see that, but being a professional for many years, I realize it's necessary at times. And the committee and folks definitely fought for a reason to get the committee and get Mr. Scutari out there, and they alleged certain things. So, I guess my question is, where's the beef? Get behind it and put your money where their mouth is. Who is his supervisor? That person must go immediately. What's the chain of command even a layer above that person? Because how do you let, according to the allegations, and if you believe them, somebody go 2 to 3 years without showing up at their job for, I think it was half the time or 2/3 of the time? again, it doesn't pass the smell test. So I urge you, if the allegations are true, that further action needs to be taken. And obviously, I'm hearing what's happening with the personnel issues. I don't know enough to comment on it, but I see agreement, but I guess there's a big line on where that changes, but there's big problems there too, and I urge you all to take action on that, because that's a festering, an issue that's been costing the taxpayers for years and will for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Arlene Sumner? Okay. Robert Scutro? Craig Halloran?
Craig Halloran, 120 Donaldson Place. My first question, which is something I've asked about before and I'm still waiting for an answer. Will the Port Authority have the ability to tax the citizens of Linden? Nobody knows. And again, for the new budget, I would like to council to allow each council member to have a budget of $10,000 to use for a project or something in their ward. I think this would be advantageous to let the citizens of Linden know, hey, you know what? We're doing something in town. We're doing something for the citizens of our wards. Did the Environmental Commission reach out to the high school students to get more active people on this commission? I haven't heard anything. And can the city enforce apartment buildings of over 40 units or more to provide parking spaces for tenants? Again, no answers. And I've finally started using a recreation center over here, which I enjoy, but there seems to be a minor problem with their printer for their ID cards. This has been an ongoing problem. Can we get that looked into and please get it fixed? And this is something that Mr. Antonelli can probably answer. What are my legal requirements for, or not just me, but any property owners in respect to sidewalks and the property between the sidewalk and the curb? I know Mr. Antonelli had gotten an email on this because I stopped in his office, and the nice lady there did send him an email on it. So please, Mr. Antonelli, inform me of the law.
Mr. Halloran, I'll have you meet with Mr. Antonelli after the meeting. We're not having.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Hans Herberg.
Sorry.
Please state your name and address.
Yeah. Hans Herberg, 1501 Westover Road. Anyway, I want to congratulate the candidates who won for Linden. Also, welcome Councilman Blaine. I mean, I've seen you a couple times around town, but, that was a beautiful speech you did earlier, so I hope you do the best. I mean, it's amazing, though. 8th Ward resident, at least they got a voice for the community, so, I hope, it'd be a great future for the community. Also, too, I'd like to point out a couple things earlier. Okay, LPD, they did a great job, for cross, walking, ticketing, but come on, people. If you're gonna cross a road, use a crosswalk. I mean, I've seen a lot of people complaining on social media about them getting a ticket. That's why they invented crosswalk for a reason. Like, come on, if I cross a walk, if I get hit by a car, it's on me, it's not the driver. So, I mean, use common sense. So, that's why they're educating. So, if you got an issue, fight with the court, though. So, I mean, instead of complaining with them, that's what it's for. Also, too, I'm very concerned about earlier this evening, I've seen, a majority of council members. Sorry about that, it's my old man calling. I'll call him back. All right, he'll get the message. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, life is too short. I've seen everyone talking back and forth. I mean, you guys talk about mental health issues. Like, come on. I mean, you wonder why a lot of folks on TV can't take anybody serious. I mean, everyone's fighting, though, I've seen. And, I mean, that's not the problem. If you guys, want to work together and stuff, sit down, have a good day, talk and do what's best for the community. I mean, come on. I've seen more drama on Maury's show or like Steve Harvey's show or Jerry Springer. I mean, we've seen a lot of worse things, but come on, guys. I mean, I really hope everyone can work out the issues. I mean, come on. I mean, this issue is not the problem. I mean, it's hurting the community. It's hurting me as well. I mean, I've seen a lot of great people, you know, working with Ms. Crosby. She helped me out, you know, with, what the heck was that called? You know, paperwork, you know, for a job I applied for, you know, a couple tips. I mean, there's a lot of council people that care for the community. And also, too, Ms. Hickey, thank you for reaching out. I mean, I had DPW come in, and finally my old man's happy, you know, because definitely.
We're not responding.
Oh, no problem, no problem. She's cool. You guys are all cool with me, so yeah, I really appreciate it. I mean, I think we got to work together in the community, find a better resolution. Also, I got to agree with Mr. Kaminsky. I mean, a lot of veterans. I mean, why don't we see a parade though? I mean, we seen ROTC guys, you know, at the Linden parade and everything like that. Even at Halloween. I mean, we, you know, appreciate our veterans. So maybe next year, why don't we do a parade and over at the Elk Lodge? Was it the one near the train station? We can do that and, you know, appreciate our veterans because they've done a lot of sacrifice for our community. And also, too, I thank you, sir, for serving our country. I mean, God bless, though. I mean, that's what I do. I always, if you see a veteran, you know, shake your hands, thank them for what they do, because, I mean, they're fighting for freedom and even fighting for our communities, you know, for freedom. Like, there's no other countries out there, but they're fighting for what we have today, though. So, anyway, guys, I do thank you guys all as well. Also, too, Mr. Roman brought up plaque I made for Vigiano. I did. I'll repost it tonight, but if you guys want to share on your pages, council pages, you know, just let the public know. I know a lot of people, you know, some people saw it, some didn't, but I volunteered my time, though I put everything together. Also, I want to thank Ralph Horsch. I mean, he helped did the wood. I mean, Linden community member. He did a great job, you know, helped finalizing with me and one of the lieutenants. So it was a team effort, and it was a good cause, though everything was all volunteered, not a dime whatsoever. So, I mean, if anybody has any requests or anything like that, just let me know. I do volunteer my time, though, or anything like that. And that's what we do. Anyway, guys, I appreciate it. And also, too, it's just a word of advice, guys. I mean, holidays around the corner. Let's all try to be nice and get along. I mean, that's fair for the community. I mean, these guys, you know, the police officers, they did a great job and everything like that. So let's make everyone happy, though. Anyway, peace out, Linden.
Thank you. Okay, can we have a motion to close the public comment section?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to close the public portion and ask for a second, please.
Yeah.
Did someone else? Second.
I called on you.
Too late.
I called for motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes. Comments from the members of the governing body? 1 minute. Mr. Medina? Mr. Medina?
Yeah.
Councilman Medina?
I'm just going to revert back to that Northwood Ave project. Again, I did fail to mention some folks. My predecessor, Bob Frazier, who's been keeping me on my toes with that project. And also I want to thank Freeholder Hudak for facilitating this meeting and actually being very supportive on this venture. So I just want to, I would be remiss if I leave those two guys out. So I just wanted to thank them both for their time and their efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Hickey?
Yes, first, Hans, you spoke a lot of great words tonight, and I've really been glad to get to know you over the years. And I'm sorry I spoke out of turn before again, Council President, but the big branch was picked up today, and the tree is being taken down soon. I know that's been a concern of yours and your families, but DPW is on it. I also, actions do speak 1,000 words. They certainly do. And to all the employees that have been treated unfairly, that haven't made it through, my apologies to you. I certainly do try. Could see what happened here tonight. Who wants to work for who and who does for who? That young gentleman in my ward whose father's worked for DPW for over 20 years, who actually was a seasonal employee with DPW since he was 16. I was told that he didn't have enough of experience in lifting. If I've ever heard such a hysterical remark in my life, that was today. So have a good night and a very happy Thanksgiving from my family to yours. Blessings.
Councilman Roman?
Thank you, Council President. Ed, good job on the veterans thing. I know it was your idea, flat out to book last year, and this isn't the first time that anyone failed to mention that it was your idea in the first place, that you brought it to us, and that you were totally blackballed out of the whole process. Probably once again, I apologize. I was with a family member. I couldn't make it. I love all our veterans. This hit your doorsteps. Linden Progress hit your doorsteps over Election Day weekend. It is a 28-page campaign flyer. I'm not mentioned. No council people are actually mentioned besides Council President Yamakayas and the mayor. This is not legal. This breaks a state statute. You are not allowed to do this. So anyone who got this in their mailbox, please know that you are not allowed to do these types of things. It is illegal. There's a state statute against it, and will be investigated. Thank you. And you paid for it. You paid for this. Yes. Yes, Ralph, you paid for it. $16,000 minimum, probably more like 20 or 30 at the end of it.
Councilman, your time is
Supposed to come
up.
out of campaign dollars, not your dollars. So,
Councilman Mohammed?
I hate to say it, it's rather sickening that people come week after week, month after month, just to impugn people's reputation. Now, again, I repeat, I'm a U.S. Navy veteran. Some of you haven't served anywhere. And I have to say that for the record. It gets very disturbing. You know, you can have a civil discussion without attacking people's character. That's the problem in this country today. Everyone attacks people's character, attack their ideas. Don't come, this is not theater where somebody come in and have a lot of fun and joke. People have died for this country. People risk their lives for this country. This is not a joke.
Thank you, Councilman. Mayor Armstead?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Some people do think these meetings are a joke. I bring to your attention a post from John Francis Roman, our councilman of the 6th Ward. It says, there will be a Linden City Council meeting tonight, Tuesday, 7 p.m. at City Hall and the City Council chambers. Come one, come all, it's a party. My understanding is tonight will be talked about for years to come. Okay, so what that tells me is that we're encouraging this foolishness. Council members should take this meeting more serious than anybody else. We can disagree with each other, but you have to have decorum in these meetings. And that goes for us on the dais, and that goes for us in the audience. I mean, the council president has control of the meeting. No one should be talking while she's talking. You get your time to speak at the end of the meeting, you get your time to address ordinances, but you shouldn't be back and forth with the council president or any other members on the dais right here. That is not the way a business meeting is supposed to be conducted.
Mayor, your time is up. Thank you. Okay. Councilman Blaine?
As the newest member on this council, I just want to say that I will not be discouraged. I will not be persuaded. I will stand for the people of Linden. I'm here for you, to serve you, and do what's best for the town. I just want to give one story to attest to my character. There was an election for the Board of Elections, and I went to the firehouse where both opposition teams were there. I bought coffee for everybody. And you can ask the young lady who was here earlier, she left, you don't pick sides, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We're God's children. And when you forget and you start attacking one over the other, you can have difference in politics. That's fine. Actually, it keeps us checks and balances. But when you start attacking people, that's wrong. We're here to govern. Let's do our job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, the following council meetings will be as follows. Council conference meeting prior to council meeting, Tuesday, November 12th, 2019 at 5 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Council meeting Tuesday, November 12th, 2019 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers, City Hall, 301 Northwood Avenue. Could we have, please,
What?
the November dates?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's,
Let me just correct that.
yeah.
The conference meeting is December... 16th. Okay, and, so 17th, okay. So the conference meeting will be December 16th at 7 p.m., at 6 p.m. in the council conference room. Council meeting will be December 17th at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Council President, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Blaine?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.